Challenge. Or your black lab in a black cab. Power Out Pet Mess Kit is the simple way to remove the unwanted hairs and odours pet passengers leave behind. Total Wax Power Out Pet Mess Kit.
Sam, a reminder, if anyone calls tonight, you tell them we don't take phone calls on this show anymore. Thank you, mate.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio, on the hour news headlines.
Good evening, I'm James Niche. Mourners in Johannesburg have gathered outside the house of Winnie Mandela, who's died aged 81. She was known by many as the mother of South Africa. Her family says she passed away peacefully after a long illness. Her grandson Sondwa says she'll be missed.
This unfortunate incident is one that none of us had predicted, and we'll do our best to ensure that everyone is well informed. You know that our grandmother played an important role to the global society. It's a tragic loss.
Russia's foreign secretary claims the UK could have poisoned a former Soviet spy to distract attention from difficulties over Brexit. Sergei Lavrov's dismissed Britain's claim the Kremlin was behind a nerve agent attack in Salisbury. Sky's Lisa Holland in Moscow says it's unlikely the UK will respond to these latest comments.
The British government will say, look, this sort of disinformation is what's been coming out of Russia from the start, and you can't have a smorgasbord of theories. In essence, pick a theory and stick to it, and that's not what the Russians have done.
A 22-year-old man's been questioned after two people died in a crash on the M62. A car was seen going the wrong way up the motorway near Bradford before the accident early this morning. Two men in their 30s were killed. An investigation is underway after a British soldier died in a diving incident in Chepstow. 27-year-old Lance Corporal George Partridge and his wife were expecting their first child. And Arnold Schwarzenegger has thanked doctors and nurses after undergoing heart surgery. The 70-year-old actor and former California governor has tweeted, "I'm back." Your weather, after an unsettled night with rain for many, that heavy rain and some snow will continue tomorrow across parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland. Sunshine and heavy showers elsewhere, milder with highs into the teens.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Born in the heat of the desert, my mother died giving me life, deprived of the love of a father, blamed for the loss of his wife. You know, Lord, I've been in a prison for something that I've never done. It's been one hill after another, but I've climbed them all one by one. Yeah, but this time, Lord, you gave me a mountain that I may never climb. It is on a hill, Lord, any longer. You gave me a mountain this time. My woman got tired of the heartaches, tired of the grief and the strife. Oh Lord, so tired of working for nothing. Tired of being my wife. She took my one ray of sunshine. She took my pride and my joy. She took my reason for living. She took my small baby boy. Yeah, but this time, Lord, you gave me a mountain that I may never climb. It is on a hill mountain this time. You gave me a mountain this time. Oh, this time. Oh. Good evening, welcome to the first in the new style late night alternative shows. I'll tell you what, no phone calls. We don't do phone calls anymore, so everyone that's phoning in, put your phones down. We don't do the phone calls anymore. This neck brace really constricts my breathing. I may actually pass out in a minute, so Sam, if you could just dial 999, don't press call, just have those 3 digits in, so that if I do collapse, you can press call. Okay, but don't phone them until you see me turning blue. So no more phone calls. We've decided that it's not the way. It's live. It's 5 minutes past 10. You can watch me on Periscope. Not YouTube. YouTube is down, Catherine.
No, it's not.
No, it is. Bits of YouTube are down.
Well, it's not.
Oh, YouTube's working. Well, that's a relief. I don't think it is all working. Hang on. Let's have a look. No, see, it's down. Bits of it are down. You see, that's the thing. But how did you find that link? Did someone tweet it?
No.
How did you find it?
I went on YouTube and I looked Iain Lee and I saw the one that
okay,
was
but
live.
if you go to click on the rabbit hole page, you can't see it there.
How odd.
How odd. Anyway, there's something wrong with YouTube. And whenever there's something wrong with the whenever there's something wrong with... I feel like Elvis in that clip we watched. I'm really getting into Elvis now, guys. I would like to apologise to every Elvis fan, members of the Presley family, and Elvis Presley himself, for slagging him off for the last 20 years. I've been slagging him off a lot.
Yeah, how'd you feel about Bill Haley?
He's a tosser. But Elvis, he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. Blinded. Not 50s Elvis, the one that everyone says is good. No, because there's too much reverb. And it's all that mystery train, all that slappy guitar. No. 60s Elvis? Nah. Elvis gets good. Not the 68 comeback special, that's overrated. Elvis is great between 1969 and 1974. I need to do a bit more research to kind of hone in exactly when, but he's great. And I fell down the Elvis rabbit hole, by the way, I'm on Good Morning Britain tomorrow. They want me to talk about 2 things on Good Morning Britain tomorrow. Jersey Shore, which I was supposed to watch today and I haven't, but the cast of Jersey Shore are going to be on. And they want me to talk about The Well.
Right.
And I have... here's the thing, right? I said I will talk about The Well as long as we do it in a sensible, mature...
Sensitive.
way. Sensitive, sensible, mature. SSM. Sensitive, sensible, mature way. Because I was Googling it over the weekend, and it turns out that dozens of people have fallen down wells over the past 500-600 years. So I said, yeah, we'll talk about it. Because Good Morning Britain gets great viewing figures. The figures are going on the up and up and up. If it's hard-nosed journalists like Susanna Reid and Ben Shepherd, then we're fine. If it's Piers Morgan, well, even he's got a heart. So tomorrow, I will be talking about falling down a well and just warning viewers about the dangers that could happen to absolutely anybody. And people who were suggesting maybe I was drunk or was high or something, that was not the case. It was not the case. You'll see tomorrow on Good Morning Britain.
It was too low, if anything.
Yeah, okay. So Elvis Presley. So I've really been getting into Elvis, okay? And I watched some of Elvis. Here's the thing. Elvis Presley was one of the most filmed men in the world. Right? One of the most filmed men in the world. So pretty much pretty much everything is documented. So I was able to watch bits of Elvis's last concert in, I think it was late June, early July 1977, 6 weeks before he died, right? And people talk about him dying because he was overweight and stuff. What Elvis had issues with his weight, and what he would do, I read a book about Elvis years ago, what he would do is he would, before he was going, he would do short tours of about 2, 3, 4 weeks, right? Or runs at Las Vegas. And what he would do before, like the week or 2 weeks before those short tours or those runs, is he would just pop diet pills. Speed. My mum was on diet pills. Speed. My mum. Our house was so clean in the 70s and early 80s because my mum was off her nut on diet pills. And Elvis used to do it. So his weight would balloon up, and then he'd pop these diet pills and slim down for the 3, 4, 5 week tours. Then he'd come off tour and he'd start eating again. So that put a lot of pressure on his body and his heart, things like that. But what's weird about this last ever concert, 6 weeks before he died, is he's not that overweight. He's not that... I think Elvis was 38 when he died. He's not that overweight. He's bigger than he has been. He's not that overweight. But what I couldn't stop looking at was his face. His face. The only word is bloated. It's not a fat face. It's bloated. You saw it, didn't you, Kath?
Yeah, it's kind of waxy and not a line on it because the skin's all stretched as much as it will go.
I suspect he hadn't had plastic surgery.
No, and I think he was slathered in makeup because you could see him sweating it off.
There's a lot of makeup.
It's very risky wearing a white jumpsuit.
Very sweaty. That hair dyed to, it's almost as black as antimatter itself. I don't know if antimatter is black.
No, but it sounded clever. Well
done. It's almost as blacker than a black hole. And is there really what is this black hole of Calcutta? What's that all about? Are they just saying it's a shithole?
I guess it's I guess.
The black hole of Calcutta. By the way, you can take part in the show tonight. Texas. We're up for Texas.
Messages already. Elvis was 42 or 43, wasn't 38.
Well, 42 or 43, what?
42, Mike Scott says.
Okay, right, fine, well, okay.
Lance Christopher was the one being vague.
Hang on a second, please, because the people are communicating via illegitimate methods. That I don't know how they're communicating to you.
YouTube?
No. I don't care about those. Well, I do care, but that's not what this is. This is the show. Elvis was 42, says Gavin via the Texts. Thank you, Gavin. That's how we're going to communicate tonight. I don't want not forget the YouTube.
All right.
And the Twitter. If you want to take part in the show tonight, and if you want to have your opinion vetted, censored, and I should say for legal reasons, quite possibly altered to have the complete converse of, if it's rude about me, I can change it to be nice about me. But I can make it up, is what I'm saying. Then text 87222, start with the word talk. They cost 25 pence plus your normal sending charges. And just to prove that I can make any of these up, we've got a text in from Steve, and Steve says, great show, Ian, I'm really enjoying it without the callers. So thank you for that, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. You can also email us if you go to talkradio.co.uk and go to the contact section, and you can email it, and that comes up on this. Okay, so Elvis Presley, so he's very bloated, his face.
Quite jowly.
Yeah. Great voice. Great voice. We watched, there's a brilliant performance, and I really recommend it, right? It's stunning, and it's heartbreaking at the same time. From his last concert, it's him at the piano, playing the piano, and he's not playing it brilliantly, but he can bash out a tune. He's doing that kind of, doing what I do, but better, bashing it out, the chords and stuff. And you can see the bit where he has to work out what the next chord is. He does it twice in the same spot, and he stops. And he's singing, is it Unchained Melody?
Yes.
Oh! And it's incredible. It's incredible. He's playing the piano. He's got the singers kind of join him in the thing. His deep voice is amazing. His falsetto is gone. Can't do the falsetto at the end. He can't do the high note. And he's sweating, and his face looks weird, but it's incredible. 6 weeks later, he died on the shitter. And it is now a friend of mine, and I'm a guy called Andrew Hickey. I say he's a friend of mine, right? I met him once, but this is interesting. We can talk about this a little bit during the show as well, about the nature of friendship, how that's changed.
Yeah.
Because before, to have a friend, you'd have to have met someone,
Been to their house,
met them at school, met them at work, and that you know, you'd have had to have met them, right? But I became friends with this Andrew Hickey. I don't know how. I guess via Facebook groups and stuff, because we're both slightly geeky middle-aged men. Mm. We both love the Monkees with a passion. And we just kind of found ourselves, you know, just communicating via Facebook groups and stuff. And I met him very briefly in Liverpool a couple of years ago. He's a really nice bloke. He's also, by coincidence, a brilliant writer. And he writes these, what we used to call vanity publishing. But he self-publishes these books. And they're brilliant. He writes about the Monkees. He writes about the Californian pop scene. He writes about Doctor Who. And that's interesting, isn't it? We'll talk about that as well in a bit. Hang on a minute. Self-publishing in terms of books and audio. Man alive, that's opened the door up for everybody. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a bit. So he writes a blog, and he's got Patreon backers and things like that. And he's great. He's really good. And he's been very helpful to me. He's one of those people who occasionally will send me a message, an email, saying, if you're having a tough time, you can sound off to me about it. And he's one of the few people that actually I do sometimes sound off to, because I trust him and he's nice and don't know him that well, and it's kind of good. Anyway, so he's got this blog, andrewhickey.info, right? And he's written this brilliant thing, and it's a few years ago, 2015. It's about Elvis Presley would have been 80. I always say, if Elvis Presley was alive now, he'd probably be dead by now. That's quite a funny...
Brilliant.
That's a good line. That's actually a good line.
Well done.
I like that line. I don't use it enough. So he's written about Elvis Presley, right? And about how everyone thinks 50s Elvis is cool and jumpsuit Elvis is a joke, right? And he argues, no. Let me just read you a little bit. Most critics will at least give a grudging respect to Elvis's 1968 TV comeback special and the album from Elvis in Memphis. But pretty much none will give any credit at all to the music Elvis did in the 70s. Well, almost none, says Andrew. I still remember 20 years later reading Charles Shaar Murray's review of the Essential 70s Master box set in Mojo. I think this is word for word. The 70s were when Elvis finally got good. He was fat and lonely and crippled inside and making music for the fat, the lonely and the crippled inside. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? And there's a lot of schmaltz in there, and there's a lot of, but he's singing about divorce, loads of songs about divorce. He's singing about a heartache in a way that, only a person in their late 30s, early 40s who's got divorced knows, because that's a unique pain. That's a unique discomfort. The discomfort of divorce is different from, splitting up with a partner or something. He sings about not seeing not seeing his children, not his children, but the songs, the figure often isn't seeing their children. He sings about loneliness. He sings about sadness. He sings about what we would call now depression. And it is music for the fat, the lonely, and the crippled inside. Whether you tick one, two, or all three of those categories. In the 70s, Andrew goes on, Elvis finally had the artistic control he wanted. He had a live band consisting of some of the finest sessions musicians in the world. He had an amazing band. It was the best backup band in the world, bar none. J.D. Sumner and the Stamps, backing group vocals for the Gospel Quartet, and the Sweet Inspirations, Aretha Franklin's backing group for the soul. That's those chicks that are singing in it. Elvis was a fat, divorced 40-year-old ex-trucker on prescription medication, and he was making music for fat, divorced 40-year-old truck drivers. It was big and bombastic and schmaltzy and dealt with divorces and custody battles and the pain of everything going wrong in one's emotional life, and he did so in simple terms with a giant string section. Fantastic. And I get it now. I get it. And I dug out a box set, Walk a Mile in My Shoes, which I think I had years and years ago, and then I bought it about 18 months ago, because I got it for £8, 5 discs, beautiful. I've not read the booklet, but 5 discs. I got it for £8, and some of the stuff on there, man alive, it is, it's incredible. Got some texts and some emails coming in. We'll read those in a little bit. 87222, start your message with the word talk. Texts cost 25 pence, plus your normal sending charges. I'm Iain Lee. This is the brand new late night alternative, only on Talk Radio.
Talk Radio,
Great
the
stuff.
21st century dream team of dialogue, debate and discourse.
Talk Radio. Give it some lift.
Get behind the wheel and set off on a radical road trip as Talk Radio serves up Julia's continental breakfast with Eurotunnel The Shuttle. Register now at talkradio.co.uk/competitions and you could win Eurotunnel Flexi Plus tickets and an incredible voucher worth £1,500 to rent a Novasol holiday home on the continent. Tuck into Julia's continental breakfast all this week on Talk Radio with Eurotunnel The Shuttle. With a 35-minute crossing time, Eurotunnel is the fastest way to cross the channel by car. In the new Sun mobile app, you have all this. TV and showbiz exclusives and football and breaking news and money-saving tips and scores and travel and fashion and beauty trends and celebs and real-life stories and Dear Deirdre and sports and gossip and alerts to make sure you stay ahead of the game. And you can personalise your news feed so you only see the things you love. And it's free. Ideal. Download the new Sun mobile app. It's totally sun-packed.
At DFS, sofas are handmade to order in your choice of colour, and now spring collection sofas are up to half price. But be quick, selected sofas end Tuesday. DFS.
Do you have a project of Jurassic proportions? Get new T-Rex tape. All weather, works longer, holds stronger. T-Rex tape is formulated with a super aggressive adhesive that gives it a better grip than standard duct tapes, so it can stick to the roughest, dirtiest surfaces indoors and out. Made with UV-resistant material, T-Rex tape will stand the test of time, even in extreme weather. T-Rex tape, ferociously strong. Feel the strength. Available at all good stores or visit trextape.co.uk to find a retailer near you.
Up here on Ben Nevis, it's millions of years since the volcano was active. But Sky Vegas bonus time, that firecracker's active right now.
Between 9 and 11 every night, our unmissable bonus game is guaranteed to trigger in Sky Vegas bonus time. Only at Sky Vegas. Unexpect more. 18 plus, ends 3rd of July. Customers must be playing when bonus games randomly triggered. Minimum 20p stake. 3 spins must be claimed and used by midnight. Eligibility restrictions and further T's and C's apply. BeGambleAware.org. When the fun stops, stop.
Helen's homecoming lamb.
It's a lot quieter around here since the boys went off to college. Sunday roast was always the highlight. All the family around the table for my roast leg of lamb.
My friend Andy watched that Neil Diamond
I'm doing it again today. It's their favourite.
He's so angry during Carry That Weight. It's like he's singing it at Mark Chapman.
It's good to have them back. For a couple of weeks.
Make your own homecoming roast with our tender, tasty grass-fed lamb. Food Love Stories, brought to you by Tesco.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
Okay, no phone calls anymore. We don't do those. The phone calls are so 2017. You can text and you can email. Brian says, I can't actually. There we go. Scrolling. Okay, fine. Katie says, doing great without the callers. Yep, thank you. Okay. Brian says, have you ever listened to Dred Zeppelin? I bet you have. It's the most Elvis thing since Elvis. Do you remember Dred Zeppelin?
No.
Right, Dred Zeppelin. 1989, 1990. They did have I got this right? They did reggae versions of Led Zeppelin songs sung by Elvis. I think. And I think the idea was better. I remember I had a tape of it, and it was on the tape. On the other side of the tape was Gary Glitter's Gang Show. Let's just say the GGG side got played a lot more than the DZ side. But yeah, I think that's the thing. And it was an Elvis impersonator with carpet stuck on his sideburns. And then he died really young as well.
Oh, no.
He died really young.
In the toilet, or...?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. James says, Ian, what's this I hear about you considering calling the Rabbit Hole a day? Rabbit Hole is a podcast that me and Catherine do. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about... There's a lot of change going on, right? There's a lot of change going on in my life. And I'm just thinking about sweeping out the old and getting in the new. And it's something that we've spoken about, Catherine and I. And we don't quite know. I mean, and I did sort of spring it on you a little bit yesterday for comic effect. By the way, everyone who came to the Rabbit Hole last night, well done. There were the people who bought the first 15 tickets. The time was wrong on the tickets.
Oh, man.
So one guy messaged me saying he rocked up at 7:15. I did offer him a refund. He wouldn't take it. So fair play. But the first 15 tickets had the time wrong. I remember now. But everyone who came, it was a great night. Lot of fun. It was a really funny night, actually. And, then some people messaged me saying, oh, we didn't get a picture with you, but we were waiting in the bar. I remember now. But everyone who came, it was a great night, a lot of fun. It was a really funny night, actually. And, then some people...
It's done the job in that way.
Yeah. So I don't know. Guys. I'm open to suggestions on that. Ian and Kath, I don't have any friends, so if I couldn't call the people I've met once and have on Facebook friends, I'd be screwed, says Lynn. Nick says, here we go. I'm autistic and suffer from depression, and people like you make life much easier by talking about stuff. I know you get stick off some people, but please know that you're a massive help to us. Lots of love. That's from Nick. Thank you, Nick. I've had a few very nice people like Nick get in touch recently and say some very nice things about how me talking about mental health has been helpful to them. And also about the way that we do this show has been helpful. That guy last night I was speaking to, the skinny Gene Gardner, said some really nice things about how this show, and by, you, that includes you as well, Catherine, has kind of inspired him to try and do something that feels true to him, which is why we're not doing calls anymore, because it just doesn't feel true to me to do calls. So, yeah. What's this? Ian, it's Mr. Baxter from the Rabbit Hole last night.
Oh, yeah, he was good.
I forgot to ask, what was that Monkeys tune you tried to do last year with 4 people, 1 on each line? That was called Zilch.
We didn't try to do it. We executed it beautifully.
No, we did it.
And when I say executed, I mean stone dead.
Archie says, one of the things I found strange about Elvis being called the king of rock and roll, he never wrote one song. Now, here we go. I tell you why Elvis is called the king of rock and roll. Because no one did it before him. No one did what he did before him. He was the first. Right, let's deal with the thing about him stealing black people's music. Most of his songs are written by white people. Hound Dog? Was Hound Dog Carl Perkins, or was Blue Suede Shoes Carl Perkins? Blue Suede Shoes might have been Lieber and Stoller, who were white, Jewish kids. Anyway, most of his songs are written by white people. Again, Andrew writes brilliantly about this in his thing. And you could argue that Elvis was perhaps more successful than maybe Little Richard or Chuck Berry because he was white. Yeah, okay, you can possibly argue that, definitely. But you can't argue, Elvis still sold more records than most other white people. So he obviously had something, he sold more records than Pat Boone, who did Ain't That a Shame, covered black music and stuff.
Yeah, but the thing was about Elvis was he was the whole pop package.
Yep.
And the first time you'd kind of seen it.
Yep.
I mean, he was a really, really good-looking bloke, regardless of whether he was straight or gay. You cannot deny that fundamentally that is a good-looking fella. And he was doing moves that no one else was doing. He had that thing. And so girls would go crazy for him, and he was tapping right into that market. But also, he was cool enough that blokes would buy his records too.
Totally. And also, as well, from really early on, I've got all of this from Andrew's thing. All the Sun records that were released, right? His first 2 years, he was Sun Records, Sam Phillips, right? One side was a rock and roll song, one side was a country song. So right from the off, he's hedging his bets. He's not hedging his bets. He's doing two different kinds of music. He would do
that market, but also he was cool enough that blokes would buy his records too.
Totally. And also as well, from really early on, I've got all of this from Andrew's thing. All the Sun records that were released, right? His first 2 years, he was Sun Records, Sam Phillips, right? One side was a rock and roll song, one side was a country song. So right from the off, he's hedging his bets. He's not hedging. Okay, right, then...
There's Blue Suede Shoes was Carl Perkins.
Blue Suede Shoes was Carl Perkins. Then who wrote Heartbreak Hotel? Was that Lieber and Stoller? Who wrote Heartbreak Hotel? No, who wrote... That wasn't them. Who wrote Heartbreak Hotel?
Here we go. Tommy Durden and Mayborn and Axton.
Black or white? I'm curious.
Let's see. Tommy Durden, white fella.
Yeah, really?
Mayborn and Axton, white woman.
There you go. Isn't that interesting? Because I've always thought that, we stole black people's music. And actually, when it was highlighted that most of his songs were written by white people, including a lot of the early ones, it's interesting, isn't it? It's very interesting. I don't like early Elvis. I don't like the movies. Do the Clam and Yoga Is As Yoga Does. Those are actual songs by the dude. But I'm really enjoying having a look at late era Elvis. Might do another Elvis song later on, because I've discovered, this is what I discovered in the car, that I can if I really let rip, come on now, if I really let rip, right, and I really open my throat, and I push from here, from my diaphragm, I can do it.
Right.
I can do it.
What, even with the
neck brace gets in the way a little bit. I'm hoping I can take it off in a week or two.
That's all right, Mama. Arthur Crudup, blackfella.
Well, yeah, I know.
Just saying.
Okay, fine. I got that. Where are you getting this information from? People tweeting you?
No.
Because that is...
I'm using the Google, as you said I was entitled to. Is that a problem? You got beef?
All Shook Up, written by a white guy.
Well, let's see. Yeah, I think you might be right.
Go on. Who is it?
Oh no, hang on. I'm looking at All Shook Up musical.
For goodness sakes.
I mean, come on.
Come on, guys. Come on, guys.
All Shook Up. Recorded by Elvis Presley.
Yep.
Composed by Otis Blackwell.
Well.
Doesn't say. Hang on.
No.
I don't know. I can't find that. He's not got a picture.
Okay. Well.
Hang on. Let me see if I can find a picture.
Okay. Well, while you're doing
that,
87222 if you want to text. Text costs 25 pence plus your network charge. You can go to...
Blackfella.
Is he? Okay, fine. All right, well, okay. So half and half on that kind of, the silly little... just remind me, one of my favourite... The Monkees, right, the Monkees, great music. It's often overlooked how funny their TV show was. Really innovative TV show, right? Shot on film, and shot like movies, edited and shot on film, and wonderful. And there's two really great gags in it, right? One of them I told you before. There's one where the joke is Davy Jones is always falling in love, right? And he keeps missing band rehearsals because he's always falling in love, gets little stars in his eyes. And he's wearing this white jersey, the yellow jersey with black stripes down the sleeves, very distinct. And he has Prince Valiant haircut. And the other guys go, right, listen, this Davy just keeps getting the horn and leaving, right? We're going to chain him to the chair. So there's this massive ornate chair, right? And they chain his leg to the chair, right? And then they go to the kitchen, they come back and Davy's gone, the chair's gone. Oh, my God, he's gone. So they run out into the streets of Los Angeles and they see in the distance this fella with the Prince Valiant haircut, the yellow jersey with the black stripes and dragging a chair. They go, Davy! And they turn around and it's someone else. He goes, oh, sorry, we thought you were someone else. And it's just such a delicious gag. But one of my favourite other gags is they've got to do something horrible. I can't think what it is. I think maybe they have to go for a job interview, right? And they go, how are we going to decide? I know. Let's draw straws. So they all get a pen and paper. And they all draw pictures of straws, right? And the Mike, Mickey and Peter's straws are really long. And Davy's, of course, is tiny. You go, Davy, you drew the short straw. And it's just such a lovely, stupid, throwaway gag that I try and incorporate into my life as often as I can. We're talking about self-publishing and how that has revolutionised, I think, the way that artists, creative people, or people exploring their creativity can get stuff out there now. And so I was speaking to this guy yesterday after the show, the Skinny Jean Gardener, and I'd totally forgotten that he'd emailed and said, can I grab you for 10 minutes, an interview for my podcast about gardening? Oh, and I forgot. And so we were going, and he grabbed me and said, oh, can we do this tomorrow? I said, oh, no, man, we'll do it now. Sorry, I totally forgot. We'll do it now. And he's a really nice guy. And he was telling me how, he didn't have an outlet. He wanted to do kind of a show about gardening, and he didn't really have an outlet for it. So he just got off his arse, got a cheap digital recorder for like £100. You can get it for cheaper than that. It's a scaled down version of the one that we use. Our one has got whistles and bells and stuff. But I guess he puts his whistles and bells on with a computer afterwards. I don't know. And he set up the feed, and he's got a Facebook page, and he does live video on Facebook and stuff like that. And I don't know if he's making any money from it, but he's got quite a loyal following that is growing, and people enjoy what he's putting out. Now, I don't know the numbers. It may be just a few hundred people. I don't know. But it's incredible that outlet is available now. Because when we were kids, patronising him, but when we were younger, there wasn't anything.
No.
There wasn't anything. You might make tapes for your mates and hawk them around. My equivalent of it was doing open spots at comedy clubs. That was my equivalent. That was because I ended up doing open spots at comedy clubs because I couldn't get any acting work, and I wanted what we call stage time. I wanted to perform and get experience and stuff. So I would go through Time Out, and I would phone up all these comedy clubs and try and get 5-minute open spots. 5 minute, and if you did enough 5-minute open spots, then hopefully you might get a paid 10-minute spot. It was a slog. It was a soulless slog. And boy, oh boy, every now and then, someone who ran a comedy club back in the day and refused to even give me an open spot, or laughed at me and told me to F off when I asked for a paid spot. Every now and then, I've had it just a few over the last couple of years, they've got in touch with me to ask me for something. And and I know this is childish, but I've taken great delight in either ignoring them or saying, no, sorry, I can't help. Isn't that? But they were so... When I was phoning up comedy clubs, and I was kind of living in London for some of it, I was also living at my mum's for some of it, and I'd go up and use the extension, the phone in her room, and sit on the edge of the bed. And I hate phone calls, Catherine, which is partly why getting rid of the calls on this just makes my life so much easier. But I hate making phone calls. I made the mistake of answering a phone call today from a number I didn't recognise, and it was an estate agent telling me about properties in an area I didn't actually want to live in. And I found myself saying, yes, I'm interested in High Wycombe and Aylesbury. I'd made a mistake by registering. Yes, I'm interested in High Wycombe and Aylesbury. Please send me everything you've got.
You didn't just say you weren't interested?
No, because I'd got in touch with her about a property, but I didn't realise it was in High Wycombe. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. The joys of looking for a house when you've recently been on a TV show seen by 12 million people. Right, yeah, and how I'm going to get around that when I finally go to putting in a bid. I'm not going to put a bid in. I might need you. I might have to find myself a house, and I might get you or Sam or someone to go along. This is absolutely genuine, right? Because people see me. I had it when I buy cars. Remember someone using the phrase TV money, and this was like 3 or 4 years ago when I was at BBC local radio.
Right.
Like, Jesus. But if I go in and look at a house now, I've only looked at 2, and both estate agents have gone, oh, it's you, didn't realise. So you're in the jungle? I didn't watch it, my wife watches it. And you just think, right, well, I can't go in with an offer because what estate agents do is they are there to get the best price for the person who's selling. So if a house is, say, 500, and I say, well, I'll give you 470, the estate agent goes to the person and goes, well, he said 470, but don't forget, he was on the jungle last year, and those guys get paid up to £500,000. I reckon I can get the full 500. That's what's going to happen. So genuinely, either you or Sam, I'm going to find a house that I like, and then I'm going to send you guys in, maybe as a couple or mother and grandson, to walk in and have a look.
Cheeky bugger.
To have a look around, and then I'm going to have to get one of you guys to put a bid in for me. And then once it gets accepted, then I appear on the scene. I remove my mask. And go, it was me all along. Because otherwise, I'm going to get screwed. I know it. I'm going to get screwed.
How do other people buy houses?
Who?
Like, I don't know, Paul Hollywood.
He's got TV money. He's on proper TV.
Yeah, but that's your assumption.
No, but he's on proper TV. I didn't know he was knobbing a 22-year-old.
Well, he might not be knobbing her, they might just be courting.
Because last I heard, he got back with his wife after the American lady told him no. But then, when I was away, I guess this was, in Australia, his wife dumped him. And so he's off with a 22-year-old.
Well, none of our business, eh?
It isn't any of our business.
But still, 22.
How old is he, 51?
No, we'll be, I reckon, about 48. Let's have a check.
All right, well, hang on it. You made a big song and dance there, and now you're saying maybe 3 years left.
It was
3 years left.
Maybe a shimmy. Let's have a look. I don't think he's 50. He is 1966. What's that? 52.
Thank you. Hey!
Wow.
See, I was spot on.
Well, then 22 is too young, then. I'm going to pass judgment.
Yeah. God, imagine his wrinkled old member in her beautiful, pert young...
Stop that!
What? Let's add...
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
A radio star.
In a sweet young vagina.
You're going to love
Talk Radio.
A tough and overgrown lawn never gets in the way of the McCulloch man when there's a match on. Like a powerful striker with his McCulloch lawnmower. He has the power to get the job done, cutting the lawn down to size well before the
Yeah, but this time...
Good enough to host the Cup Final. Get your McCulloch lawnmower and other garden power tools at good DIY stores nationwide or at McCulloch.com. McCulloch, the power to get the job done.
1 2 1 2. Music's always best when it's live. Same as Sky Vegas bonus time. And that baby's live right now.
Between 9 and 11 every night, our unmissable bonus game is guaranteed to trigger in Sky Vegas bonus time. Only at Sky Vegas. Unexpect more. 18 plus, ends 3rd of July. Customers must be playing when bonus games randomly triggered. Minimum 20p stake. Free spins must be claimed and used by midnight. Eligibility restrictions and further T's and C's apply. BeGambleAware.org. When the fun stops, stop.
AI gets a lot of bad rap. In reality, AI is cutting wastage, it's saving lives, it's helping us understand really complex problems. My sister had been getting progressively worse for 8 or 9 years. In the morning she'd wake up and she'd almost be fine. She'd be, running around the house really. By lunchtime she was in a wheelchair, and by the night she needed to be fed and taken to the toilet. We started scanning the internet using the same techniques we do with Black Swan to look for people with similar conversations. We used natural language processing to work out, what they really meant and map them to a diagnosis. I remember going to my doctor with this, and we had 3 diseases that we wanted to check, which we'd not checked for. On the top of the list was Parkinson's dystonia, which is completely curable using Alzheimer's drugs. She went on those within 2 weeks, and now she's running marathons. She's got her life back, and this has been 2 or 3 years, and they've been the best 2 or 3 years we've had together.
Yahoo Finance. Business stories that matter. Where do you charge an electric car?
How quickly can I do it?
How far can you go on one charge?
How much can I save? Can I charge it at home?
Do I need a house with a drive?
Can you get an electric shock off them? If I plug in on mobile phone, will the car's battery run out?
Can they go in car washes?
Got questions about owning an electric car? Get the answers at goultralow.com.
Right, sandcastle's finished. So, what now? Swimming, crazy golf, tennis, the arcades, the water slides?
All of them.
Ready to join millions of families across the UK and Europe on a halts from £15 only with the Sun? Oh yeah! Pick up the Sun and start collecting this Saturday. T's and C's apply.
He's the righteous reporter who's got his finger on the pulse of UK politics.
They should be scrutinised more closely.
The Week with John Nicholson
On Talk Radio, Sunday afternoon from 4.
Join the stout speaker with the Triple Lock Manifesto to bring you the week's big stories from Westminster, as I said to Tony.
Journeying across the week's political landscape, debating all the pressing issues.
I'll be presiding over fast-paced political debate.
From budget cuts to Brexit, or ballots to backbenchers.
all from his heavily reinforced radio dispatch box.
Read my lips. It's a 3-line whip to listen to The Week
with John Nicholson.
Toying the Party Line, Sunday afternoon from 4 on Talk Radio.
Late night conversation, worth losing sleep over. The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee
on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Someone on YouTube complaining about the music chat. The chat evolves and it grows and it changes and it shifts. Honestly, guys, if you don't like, something we're talking about, it's amorphous.
I don't like the YouTube chat that we just had the last 30 seconds. The rest of it's fine.
This is the new and improved late night alternative on Talk Radio. We don't take phone calls anymore. And boy, oh boy, oh boy. Here we go. Nick says, Ian and Kath, any chance of bringing in your portable record player and doing a show this week where you play records and rap like an old school radio DJ? Absolutely none whatsoever. Someone sent me a very detailed thing about beard dandruff, but I don't really know how to extend the screen on emails.
Oh, I do.
I don't. Sorry, I'm not that interested. So no, we're not taking any phone calls anymore, and I'm constantly having to pinch myself to not give out the telephone number. You can take part though, guys. The legal streams of communication are texts 87222. Start with the word talk. And 25 pence plus your standard network charges. Or if you go to talkradio.co.uk, you can email us. And it's just something you wanna do. So self-publishing, and there was always that snobby thing, wasn't there, about vanity publishing? I remember in the 80s and 90s, and it was for people who
were too boring to get a proper book deal.
Yeah, who'd had their books rejected.
Yeah.
And so they would
I read
pay...
some properly mad books, though, that were self-published, like...
Oh, no, well, the vanity stuff, I think there was a lot of it, because you would have to spend, like, £2,000-3,000, and you would then physically get 200 books.
And they would be in your garage forever.
And there was... The thing is, as well, also, it's such a dated concept to do it that way, because then you then have nowhere to sell them. There was no outlet for them. Whereas now, if I self-publish a book, and it's something I'm looking at, because no one's interested in the book that I was writing. And I had a look at what I'd written the other day, 28,000 words, and I wrote another 500 the other day. Struggling to write about the 11 o'clock show, because it's quite boring, actually, what that was. I'm trying to make that interesting. But, I'm still toying with the idea of bringing out a book at some point, but no publisher will touch it. So I might do a self-publishing. Now, there are so many websites and ways of doing it, and also now when you do it through a lot of these websites, the book only gets printed up when someone orders it, so there's no wastage. There's no having 4 huge boxes of books in your mum's spare room or anything like that. Someone goes online and they can either order a digital download of it, so it just gets sent straight to their tablet, or they order a book and it gets printed up. Now that's pretty perfect. If you are selling small units, micro thing. I released a DVD a couple of years ago, this obscure film starring one of the monkeys called Keep Off My Grass, about 1975 or 72, I can never work out which year it was. And it's a really low budget, not particularly good stoner comedy, right? And I it was like a sort of a holy grail for Monkees fans, and no one could find it. And I've been hunting for it. And then I was at some convention in America, and I overheard a young lady speaking to Amy Dolenz, daughter of Mickey and star of, what's that film she's the star of, starring Tony Danza? She's up for it. She's mad for it. She's mad for it. Amy Dolenz, Tony Danza, like a sort of 80s straight-to-video. It's quite a big film, actually. Rom-com. She's Out of Control. There we go. She's Out of Control.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And your thought was, she's mad for it, she's up for it.
Anyway, so I just happened to walk past her while she was speaking to another young lady. And the first young lady was saying, and so we had a screening of Keep Off My Grass the other day, and I stopped. It was like, this. I turned around and I said, I'm really sorry, I overheard that, but I've been after that film for it. Anyway, it turns out her dad was one of the producers of the film, and I got in touch, and it all got very complicated because they wanted huge sums of money for me to release it on DVD, and I had to say to them, dudes, there is no money to be made in this film. There's $1,000, $1,500 tops. It's a really obscure film. The version you have sent me is such poor quality, and they wanted to sell it for like $50 a pop and all of this, and so I made it kind of this mission to get really nice cover designed and to record and film at my own expense as many extras as I could. And I got some Monkees fans to record a commentary for it, and I paid a guy in America $100 to go out and film an interview with one of the people that was in it, and I filmed a couple of things at home talking about how I found it and all of this, and we put it, and I put it out, and it was a real learning curve, and I did it via a website called Create Space, right? And because I was looking at getting loads burnt and printed up, and it was a real punt, and I thought if I got them printed up, and you can get them made for like £2 each, and then I could post them out. So this website, Create Space, they do DVDs, they do CDs, and they do books, and you put it on there. They take quite a big chunk of the money, but It sold, and we sold, I don't know, 200 copies of it, 250 copies of it, something like that. And every month I get a little thing from Amazon saying, you've sold one copy this month. Fine, beautiful, and it's kind of covered my costs for it. And I just, lowered the price ridiculously a couple of months ago, and it sold a few more. But so there are ways of getting all of this stuff out there. You talked about reading vanity publishing stuff. What had you read?
Yeah, because I used to work for a BBC, for a long time, worked for a BBC local radio station, and the show I used to do, one of the shows I did on my own, and I would self-produce it as well, was like a local history thing. Now, there are loads of local history buffs, and, not all of them interesting. Some of them brilliant characters, some of them just boring.
Yeah.
But, they put the contents of their heads and their years of study into these sort of self-published books. And sometimes you get an absolute beauty, but for the most part, they were kind of, rather dull pamphlets.
Yeah.
I had, at one point, I had quite a lot of these books. But it's an outlet, and, some people find that stuff interesting.
Yeah. And I think also it's more, for the person that writes them, it's more the fact that they have got a physical...
Yeah, I've written a book. This is my life's work.
Hands. Yeah, I think that's the thing. But there are some people that make a living out of it. I think Andrew, who I've been talking about, I think he makes a living from his Patreon blog and from the books he puts out. And when I say a living, he's not driving around in a sports car smoking expensive cigars. I think he can pay his rent and food.
It allows him to write.
Yeah.
Because this is another thing.
Exactly.
You talk to Matt Haig, for example, and he's not the only writer who's made this point, but he's someone we've had a conversation with about it. You need to have a certain amount of money to be able to not do anything else but write. And if you're writing a book, you need to not do anything else but write, which is why there's this kind of whole sector, really, of authorship that is just posh people that've got enough family money to be able to sit down and do nothing else. And it's not right. And this whole sort of democratisation of publishing means that it's not that so much anymore.
But then it also goes back to the start of the indie music industry, which I guess kind of started, maybe not started, but took off around punk, when you know, these crappy little punk bands that were never going to get signed up by a big label or by a label would go and print 500 copies of their single themselves, you know, and it went from bands doing that to kind of people going, well, actually, I think I can start a little company and I can produce 500 of this band, 250 of this band, and do you know what? We'll take a punt and we'll do 1,000 of this. And that's how things like Factory Records started. You know, Factory Records was a small indie band. It was driven by Tony Wilson's chutzpah, you know, and
New Order's money.
Yeah, well, New Order's money eventually, once they started making money, but when it was Joy Division and stuff, and you know, it was Tony Wilson that took a punt and said, all right, well, I think I'm on the borders of my musical knowledge here. I think I got this right, but it was people like Tony Wilson who took a punt on these you know, these dour, miserable, you know, very small bands that had small followings and went, you know what, I think maybe we can sell 1,000 singles with these
yeah,
guys.
but with Tony Wilson it was never about money. It was just, he would pour it all back into the art. It was all about art.
No, exactly. So there are all these outlets that are out there and are, you know, available. Now, the problem is, the only problem I can see with podcasts and books and music and things like that is getting your voice heard. You know, if you release a podcast now, you're shouting into the wind, aren't you? Because there are 1,000,001 podcasts done by, well, me and Kath have got 2 podcasts. You know, we're professional broadcasters. There are big comedians like Adam Buxton and Richard Herring doing podcasts. There are you know, great writers who have got huge companies behind them giving them money to do podcasts, like John Ronson and people like that. So, you know, if you start your own podcast, you're kind of shouting into the wind. But I guess it has to be about, you know, you wanting to create something and to express yourself artistically.
Yeah.
I think. Well, there we go. That's an hour down. I was a little bit nervous about this no callers thing, but do you know what? I think it's I think it's going to be all right. I think it's going to be a long, long time. You are listening to a very bold, very brave, new late night alternative with Catherine Boyle and myself. You can listen to us on DAB. You can download the app, or you can go to talkradio.co.uk. Don't forget you can watch the show if you go to periscope.tv/Iain Lee, or if I'll tweet the YouTube link, because YouTube is a little bit friendlier. You can take part in the show. 87222. Start your text with the word talk. Cost 25 pence plus network charge. Or if you want to do it for free, you can email us by going to talkradio.co.uk. I am Iain Lee. This is the Late Night Alternative on Talk Radio.
Talk Radio. Dial up some dialogue.
Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
Yeah, I'll have a coffee.
We like to talk about what we know about a glowworm, like the practical training for new installers and the 499 checks we do on our boilers before they leave the factory. Did I mention 30 quid cash back and a free 7-year warranty with every registered install from our energy boiler range on our Plumbing Toolbox app?
The Glowworm Energy Boiler range starts at $599 with a 7-year warranty and a £30 cash reward. Download our app or find out more at glowworm.co.uk. Glowworm. Easy does it. Terms and conditions apply. See glowworm.co.uk for more details. Keeping your 4 wheels fresh when you've got a 4-legged friend can be a hairy business. Until now. Power Out Pet Mess Kit is the brilliant new product from Turtle Wax that keeps canine carrying cars clean. Whether you take your Vizsla in a van, your Hound in a hatchback, or your Black Lab in a black cab, Power Out Pet Mess Kit is the simple way to remove the unwanted hairs and odours pet passengers leave behind. Turtle Wax Power Out Pet Mess Kit. Trusted innovation inside and out. Available now from Euro Car Parts and all good retailers.
Hello, I'm your smoke alarm. I'm just hanging out up here on the ceiling. Could you possibly get up here and test me by pressing my button? I meant kind of like now. You seem to spend a lot of time pressing buttons on your phone. But can your phone wake you and your family up in the night to save your lives? Because I can, if I'm working. So remembering to test me is crucial. How about we take it from the top? Hello, I'm your smoke alarm. Please test me now.
Smoke alarms. They need to work to keep you safe. Press to test.
Monthly is best. Up here on Ben Nevis, it's millions of years since the volcano was active. But Sky Vegas bonus time, that firecracker's active right now.
Between 9 and 11 every night, our unmissable bonus game is guaranteed to trigger in Sky Vegas bonus time. Only at Sky Vegas. Unexpect more. 18 plus, ends 3rd of July. Customers must be playing when bonus games randomly triggered. Minimum 20p stake. 3 spins must be claimed and used by midnight. Eligibility restrictions and further T's and C's apply. BeGambleAware.org. When the fun stops, stop.
Cast your mind back and think. Were you ever contacted out of the blue for a pension review? Were you advised to move your work or personal pension into a SIP, self-invested personal pension?
Yes, I was.
You could be due thousands if you were missold. Money Redress are trusted claim specialists in pension and investment mis-selling. They'll manage the whole claim for you on a no payout, no fee basis, so you can't lose. Text WIN to 85077.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio, on the hour news headlines.
Good evening, I'm James Nish. South African anti-apartheid activist Winnie Mandela has died peacefully following a long illness. She was 81. Her family were with her when she passed away. South African Minister Jeff Radebe says she was a formidable woman.
Mrs. Madikizela Mandela was one of the greatest icons of the struggle against apartheid. She fought valiantly against apartheid state and sacrificed her whole life for the freedom of her country.
The former wife of the late Nelson Mandela had been in and out of hospital since the start of the year. Desmond Tutu says she's defined the struggle against anti-apartheid. Russia's foreign ministers accused the UK of putting all decency aside over its claims about the nerve agent attack in Salisbury. Moscow denies poisoning Sergei Skripal and his daughter, but Sergei Lavrov appeared to suggest UK Secret Service may have been involved.
There are other explanations. Experts say that it could be highly advantageous to the British security services, who are well known for their capacity to act with a licence to kill.
A 22-year-old man's been questioned after 2 people died in a crash on the M62. A car was seen going the wrong way up the motorway near Bradford before the accident. 2 men in their 30s were killed. An investigation is underway into the death of a soldier at a diving training centre in Chepstow. 27-year-old Lance Corporal George Partridge's wife was expecting their first baby. He's been described by his commanding officer as an exemplary soldier. The Director of Public Prosecutions in England and Wales is to step down in October. Alison Saunders has been under fire recently after the collapse of a series of rape trials due to evidence not being disclosed. Her 5-year contract ends in the autumn. Your weather, after an unsettled night with rain for many, that heavy rain and some snow will continue tomorrow across parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland. Sunshine and heavy showers elsewhere, milder with highs into the teens.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Here we go. If I could be you, if you could be me, for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds, oh. If you could see me through your eyes instead of your ego. I believe you be surprised to see that you've been blind. Oh, walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Yeah, before you abuse, criticize and accuse, walk a mile in my shoes. Now if we spend the day throwing stones at one another, Cause I don't think I'll wear my hair the same way you do. Oh, well, I may be common people, but I'm your brother. And when you strike out to hurt me, it's a hurting you. Lord have mercy, walk a mile in my shoes. Hey! Walk a mile in my shoes. Yeah, before you abuse, criticize and accuse, walk a mile in my shoes. This bit's about race. Now there are people in reservations and out in the ghetto. And brother there, but for the grace of God, go you and I. Oh, if I only had the wings of a little angel. Don't you know I'd fly to the top of a mountain, and then I'd cry, 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 walk a mile in my shoes. Yes, walk a mile in my shoes. Yeah, before you abuse, criticize and abuse, walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Yeah, walk a mile in my shoes. Yeah, before you abuse, criticize and accuse, walk a mile in my shoes. I like to dedicate that to everyone on Twitter. Do you know what? I'm speechless because as I finished that, I thought that was all right. That was all right. No, you can't. I said you can't. I just realised that. As I said, I thought, I don't think you enunciated that word as clearly as you needed to avoid any Ofcoms. You cannot say otherwise.
Can't knock that.
LBC are talking about gay kids right now. Right? Here's the thing.
I think you spelled kids wrong. Just kids. They're talking about kids.
So Ahmed has texted in. Thank you for the 87222. Slightly word talk. 25 pence by sandwich. Ahmed has texted in, right? Yeah, twice. Okay. First text. LBC are talking about gay kids right now. Right? Then 30 seconds later, he's put an asterisk and then the word fat. So he's obviously one of those words in that original text was
fat kids or fat gay kids?
Fat. I guess he means LBC talking about gay fats right now.
Gosh.
What is it? Are they talking about gay kids or fat kids?
Doesn't matter. I'm for both.
Here we go. Will says, my dearest Ian, very much enjoying the new show and vicariously exploring the depth of your mind. Thank you. I would like to apologise for a couple of calls I made this year in which I was tipsy and thought I understood the show, but in hindsight I did not. Well, Will, you're part of the problem, but now you're part of the solution. No harm was meant. Keep up the good work. Any chance of a cover of Kentucky Rain? Oh yeah, there's a very...
Why are you encouraging this?
Very, very strong chance of a cover of that. Ian and Kath, I found your discussion about self-publishing really interesting. It was. I have lived with various mental health issues since the age of 17, and this has got in the way of me achieving the things I wanted to achieve in life, such as having my own family, etc. And my friends are moving on with their own lives. I am therefore trying to find a writing project to focus on and give me a sense of purpose. When I've written in the past, I've had great feedback. There are so many ideas in my head about what I could do, but nothing that has grabbed me. How do you decide which creative projects to pursue?
Just start.
Yeah, with writing, I think...
Just get it down. It doesn't have to be right straight away. That's a lesson my dad taught me. You just get it down.
Yeah.
And then you can tinker with it afterwards, but you can't tinker with nothing.
Yeah. It's kind of like when I was at my bravest, when I was doing stand-up, and I was never a very good stand-up. I was never... I had some gigs that went well, but... Were times when I would go and free my mind and have nothing prepared and just stand there and see what came out. I couldn't do it very often because I was terrified and I was smoking a lot of dope and I thought that channeled, some inner creativity. Actually, it didn't for me. It certainly stifled creativity. But I would sometimes I would go with nothing and it was freeing. And it's just as we're considering stopping doing the rabbit hole, it's just as we've worked out, and maybe that's why I'm considering doing it, because I've worked out what it is and how to do it. The last 2 rabbit holes. Where was the last one we did? London?
Bath.
Yeah. No, we've done one since Bath.
No, one since Bath.
Brighton.
Brighton.
The last 3.
But Brighton was always fun. That's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
To go.
It's good. But the last 3, I think we've got it. We've finally worked out what the formula is, right? And the formula is to treat it as though it's the radio show, but and just do it. And as soon as it starts, we're in. But even that's not actually accurate, because with the radio show, I've written down some stories from the papers, and I've written down 6 things to talk, 6 things that have been floating around in my head. Just literally words. Elvis, houses, how did they discover fire? No films I've written down. I don't know what that would be. Oh, because it's not... Okay, I know what that is. It's literally written down. And I did that for the rabbit hole last night, but we didn't touch any of those things that I'd written down.
But don't you find it's when you're prepared, that's when you've got stuff, that's when you don't need it?
I think... No. I think that's part of the journey. I think the true... This is going to make me sound so pretentious, but do you know what?
Say it.
I'm going to say it. The true art comes... I've lost it. The true art comes when there's nothing there. And last night was one of the best rabbit holes we've done. And it, just as the lights went down and we started the show, we were straight into it. None of that was prepared. None of that was rehearsed. You'd mentioned about maybe doing a Guess Who game, and you'd started to talk to me about the rules. And I said, no, I don't want to hear it. I've heard enough. Talk to me about... Sorry. I don't want to hear about it now. Talk to me about it in the show. And that was it. And we had a couple of answer phone messages, and that was it, right? And I don't know, it came from... There was something greater than us spewing that stuff out last night. For people that came to the... now, this hasn't gone out as a podcast yet, okay? So I'm literally speaking to, 100 people last night and 90 people in Bath. I'm speaking to 190 people, right? This will go out soon, but... in Bath, and then again last night, we played an answer phone message that we received from a woman called Sue in Switzerland who wanted to talk about death, okay? And if you remember in Bath, we spent an hour trying to phone her up, and we got this mysterious Swiss guy, who, well, not so mysterious, he was in Switzerland. We spoke to him in German, and we couldn't find Sue. And then we played it out again last night, and Sue might be coming on this show in a couple of weeks. I have been speaking. I've found Sue. Someone found Sue, and
the good news is she's alive.
She's alive, and she's well, and she's had a bit of a rocky ride, but she's all right. And I know that there were a lot of people that were concerned, but I have been communicating with Sue today, so you know that's something. Let's see what we've got here. Loving the new format, says Stuart Gray, who was the photographer last night, did those brilliant pictures.
They were lovely.
Now no need to feel stupid about not having the courage to call in. Please finish on an American trilogy. Yeah, okay. Jen says, have a look at the documentary film That's the Way It Is. Elvis at his peak in 71, 72. I've seen it, yeah. Last Train to Memphis is the best Elvis biography. I want a book about 70s Elvis. Want a book about 70s Elvis. That's what I want. That's what I'm really after. We need to stop child obesity now by eating all of the Easter eggs! Come on, Jenny!
My eldest hit the wall very early this Easter.
Really?
Yeah, today, this morning. I got up and I said to her, I opened my first Easter egg today.
Yeah.
And I didn't even eat the egg. I just ate it was Munchies. I don't know why my mum's bought me Munchies. It seems like a very old-fashioned...
Munchies? Oh, I bought a packet of Munchies the other day.
Yeah, a packet of Munchies, but a Munchies Easter egg. That seems grandiose for Munchies.
What they should do, these bastard Easter egg makers, is all right. Okay, once you get over the thing that it's not a giant, you know, the Mars bar Easter egg isn't a giant egg with Mars bar juice in it, you know, whatever.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, but okay, all right. So they're not going to do that. Okay, no. But they could surely make the actual egg out of the ingredients, because it's different. It's just different chocolate. Yeah. All right, so make it out of like a thin Mars bar. Do that.
Yeah.
Do that then. So you smack the egg open and it's a thin Mars bar.
It could be smaller.
Yeah.
So yeah, this Munchies Easter egg. I didn't bother with the egg. Well, I'm not really that bothered about I'm not really that bothered about Easter eggs anyway, so I had the munchies and I opened them up and I let my youngest have one, and of course she helped me out. She's very helpful when it comes to chocolate. My eldest, though, turned her nose up and said, no, I'm sick of chocolate. This is the day after Easter. She's sick of chocolate already. But then it transpired she'd had one for breakfast yesterday and she'd had 1.5 today before I got the munchies out, so that's probably why.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, devils.
I'm reminded of... Let me just see if I can find this. I'm going deep into my DMs. Where is it? Hang on a second. Going deep into my DMs. Why can't I find it? Let's try that. No, I can't find it. Dan, Margaret Harris.
Yeah.
And Billy Hayes. Billy Hayes.
Yes.
Who are contributors to the show.
And very artistic men.
Yeah. And
Dan makes films and Billy is a musician.
Yeah. And Dan's a brilliant painter. Have you seen his paintings?
Oh my God, yeah, they're so good.
They're nuts, aren't they? I mean, insane. But you know, he's damaged goods. You can only do those pictures if you're damaged goods. You have to be.
Put it to use.
You have to be. But they're brilliant. But they've started doing a radio show. And I think it's partly because they've been inspired by us. So they've started doing a radio show, and I'm just trying to find...
Yeah, you tweeted saying it was great.
Yeah, I was listening to it. I listened to about half an hour of the first one. And... and it was brilliant. It was two... Here we go. Right. Let me listen, because this might have swears in.
What? Well, this is the second...
So this is them doing their radio show. It might have swears in. I can't remember.
Get your finger on that dump button.
My finger's on the dump button. Here we go.
Episode of the Muggy Bonehead Show, recorded the other day. Follow us on Facebook and Mixcloud under the Muggy Bonehead Radio Show, and at Muggy Bonehead on Twitter.
It's a great name, Muggy Bonehead.
MUGGEYBONEHEAD. Muggy Bonehead. Anyway, Billy's not here, so I'm yet again having to do all the work, the lazy git. Well, here's a quick recap of last week, and then a song about men going to work.
Well, so,
snake wrestling, Margaret Thatcher impressions.
blow up Argentina.
La 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 la.
Alright, we're absolute amateurs.
Great. Just been for a week.
Yeah.
No. Alright, weren't it?
No.
What? Well, uphill garden, people, tills,
barbecues, coffee. I noticed there were porn mags still for sale on the top shelf.
Old people. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it's facts, eh?
Scientists. Police, yeah. Teachers, maybe.
What? Well, what an idiot.
Oh, well.
We don't find anything out.
I fell asleep before I got here.
And in the future,
have you ever seen a ghost?
Felt an unnatural draft.
What? Like a...
One night.
You shouldn't have fed that curry to your wife. I don't know.
You're getting your jokes mixed up, you're getting your dreams mixed up, you're getting your out shapes. You've done naffle towards this show.
I'm like your spiritual guru.
You're certainly not teaching me how to construct a conversation without turning into an idiot. So,
well, have you seen any good films recently?
And give up your dreams, don't get married, don't have children.
Never helps.
Well,
hopefully you all took heed to such information. You're a fool
and an idiot. Well,
it might be Japanese, I don't know.
In the streets, eating pot pies and salad cream.
What? And you were going to run me up and gave me a pep talk.
If you want to get results, you've got to rub it in the right way.
Right, rub it in the right way. Don't want to hate him less. I don't know how this happened. I think he had a lot of trouble with drugs. It changed me. I was watching Jonathan Ross back in the 90s. We are called... at Muggy Bonehead, MUGGEYBONEHEAD,
between 10 and 12 next Wednesday.
Thanks, guys. Ta-ta.
That's living alright. That's living alright. Alright, that is the best opening to any radio show I've ever heard in my life. That was a psychedelic mess. Beautiful. I love it. Now listen, that's not going to be for everyone. You're not going to get my mum bopping, well, she'll bop away to this, but she'd be confused by that first 2 minutes.
But that's not what podcasts are for. Podcasts are very specialist, and they're supposed to speak to a certain person.
And this goes out live. They do this live. They're officially our competition on a Wednesday night at 10 o'clock.
Are they?
Yeah. And then it goes out and everybody plays this. Now, who sang the theme tune to Our Vida St. Pet? Because it sounds like Dennis Waterman, it isn't. Was it the punky one? Did the punky one from Our Vida St. Pet? Because he was a singer.
Was he?
Yeah, he was a singer. He died young. Heart attack, drugs, I'm going to say. I don't know. Then, of course, Nail was a singer. I think this was the punky one.
Living all right. First time I saw a stripper was on Our Vida St. Pet. My Auntie Linda was babysitting.
That rings a bell.
Late,
that
right?
rings a bell.
And there was a scene where they went to see a stripper, and my Auntie Linda realised what we were watching and tried to turn it over. And apparently, me and my sister flattened her. Whoa! What's that?
When we come back from the break. I'm sorry to put a damper on you. We've got some bad news that's just popped up on my computer. What? Well, let's do the break.
Talk Radio. Listen. Phone. Talk.
Talk Radio.
We'll get you talking.
Brighten up your mornings and take a brilliant break with Mike Graham on Talk Radio with the sun holes from £15. Listen to Talk Radio every weekday morning from 10 for 3 hours.
I'm really sorry, Sam. You're so bored.
Great value guests and quick-fire calls on all of the day's top talking points. Don't miss Mike Graham every weekday morning from 10 on Talk Radio with the sun holes from £15. Great value breaks all year round. For more information, go to thesun.co.uk/holidays.
At Homebase, there's 2 for £70 on Farrow and Ball 2.5 litre estate and modern emulsion paint. Offer ends Monday. Homebase, always your home, always low prices. In-store only, excludes clearance outlets.
So, I think you might have forgotten about me. I'm up here on the ceiling. Your smoke alarm? Maybe I've slipped your mind, but the thing is, I might not be working. That means I might not be able to warn you if there's a fire. I know I sound anxious, and you might not realise it's a matter of life and death, but if you think about it, it kind of is. So, how about you just press my button, make me beep, and we can all rest easy. What do you reckon?
Smoke alarms. They need to work to keep you safe. Press to test. Monthly is best.
We like to talk about what we know about at Glowworm. Like the practical training for new installers and the 499 checks we do on our boilers before they leave the factory. Did I mention 30 quid cashback and a free 7-year warranty with every registered install from our energy boiler range on our Plumbing Toolbox app?
The Glowworm Energy Boiler range starts at $599 with a 7-year warranty and a £30 cash reward. Download our app or find out more at glowworm.co.uk. Glowworm. Easy does it. Terms and conditions apply. See glowworm.co.uk for more details.
Dear son, I am worried about your little brother Valentine, so I am sending him to live with you.
You can't choose your family. Tell me about this brother of yours.
He will be a bad influence.
Where is he? But you can choose where you put them. Oh, I love London. Good evening, sir. Shut up, you mug. A new Sky One comedy that takes you back to the 80s. Inspired and created by Idris Elba. Valentine, come here.
Someone's in trouble.
In the long run, get stuck in with all episodes available now.
Are you listening, mums and dads? There's zillions of big brand bargains for kids at TK Maxx. Cool labels for me, my annoying little sister, and even poopy babies. Relax, you'll find a big label for yourself too. We don't want any tantrums now, do we?
TK Maxx. Big labels, small prices.
Ridiculous possibilities.
I think I do actually, yeah.
The late night alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We'll get you talking.
All right. These scumbags, these vultures who like to exploit my misery, right? I fell down a well last week. Oh, it was funny. You tell me it's funny to be wet to just below your knees. I had to piss in that water. I didn't say that last week.
Whoa, don't tell him that. Don't tell him that.
No, I had to piss in that water. I was standing in my own piss, right? And I've not made a big thing about it, but I'm wearing a neck brace because I twisted my right ankle and it's kind of gone all the way up my spine and it takes me an hour to get out of bed. I'll be on Good Morning Britain tomorrow. Normally I get up at 5:10. I have to set my alarm for 4:10 to give me a head start. And I'll be wearing a neck brace on there, but I will be talking about in a serious way about what can happen. So I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, The Sun have written a story about tonight's show.
You mean our co-workers at The Sun?
Brace yourself. Would they do this to someone who had cancer or was in a wheelchair?
Well, if they were wearing a neck brace, I might.
Brace yourself. Iain Lee wears a neck brace on his talk radio show days after falling down a well in bizarre accident. The 44-year-old, what's that got to do with anything?
Careful.
45 soon. Took to the radio wearing the neck support as he hosted the first show without any listener calls. By Jill Robinson.
Oh, Jill.
Iain Lee wore a neck brace on his talk radio show. The 44-year-old posted a series of bizarre tweets on Friday claiming he was stuck down a well and waiting for fire crews to rescue him.
Stop. Inaccurate. It wasn't on Friday.
No, it wasn't on Friday.
Also, he's been wearing the neck brace since last week, so it's not like it's just appeared days after. But carry on, Jill.
And on tonight's show, Iain could be seen on the live feed wearing a white neck support, and at one point he said, "I'm hoping I can take it off in a week or two." Finding this very upsetting. Okay. The neck brace comes after he was forced to deny claims he was making an early April Fool's joke, saying he slipped after tossing a coin into a well but missing the water. Iain tweeted, "Sorry team, this is messed up. Tonight's show is cancelled as I've fallen down a well. This is not a joke." Later he appeared to message from inside the well, posting, "It's not metaphorical, it's an actual well." I was worried that people would think it was a metaphorical thing.
Like a well of despair.
This is nuts. Phone dying. Help is coming, but I'm a bit shaken. He added, "Sprained ankle, soaking wet. I've been told the fire brigade are on their way. Pray God for me." Some fans sent him messages of support, and then there's messages. One wrote, "Iain, I hope you're okay. You've just lived most people's worst nightmare. Take care of yourself." Another said, "I'm not sure what on earth is going on, but I hope you are sorted very soon. Stay positive." The presenter updated followers once the alleged incident was over, writing, "Out of that bloody well. Wet, battered, limping. Big up to the fire service. Police car gonna blue light me to talk radio. Incredible service." And thank you, because I spelt incredible wrong, and they've actually spelt it right there, so thank you.
You spelt it Spanish way. It was perfectly
Incredible service from the boys and girls in blue. Arriving at his show, he shrugged off suggestion he was joking and said the incident occurred when he tossed a coin into a well at an old church. He said, "Ooh."
You're right.
Yes, he said, it's just bringing back some memories. He said, "The wish doesn't count if the coin doesn't touch the water. It's the only coin I had. I'm such an idiot. What I tried to do was reach it." I've not seen these words written down. "What I tried to do was reach it leaning over head first. There's no bucket, but there's a rope hanging down. I got hold of the rope and I tried to go down feet first. I fell into the well. The bizarre incident came as the presenter revealed he has stopped taking calls from listeners on his radio show after a huge Twitter spat with a listener. Leave me alone, guys. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I don't want anything to do with you guys. Leave my personal misery." But in all seriousness, please leave my personal misery to me. I'm talking about it on Good Morning Britain tomorrow. We're going to do a serious feature, I've been assured, about well safety.
That they're going to do it like sensitively. And there'll be no tone.
No. I've been assured it's going to be a nice, it's going to be sensitive and respectful. And we're going to talk about that, and then that's it. It's done. The well is done. So, we are done. Did we have the break then? Did we have the 1/4 break?
Yeah.
We did do that, didn't we? Of course we did. Okay. This is a brand new stylish show, and do you know what? It's you got me rocking and a rolling, rocking and a reeling Barbara around. This is the late night alternative without phone calls. And do you know what, guys? For me, it's all the better for it. If you want to take part, you can text 87222. Start your word talk. And 25 pence plus network charge. You know all that stuff. That's all good stuff. And here are the adverts, yeah.
Greetings, Earthlings. We come in peace. We wish to communicate with your leader.
I'm Howard Hughes. Join me this Sunday night from 10 for a trip into the outer limits.
Untwist the lid on Talk Radio's specimen jar of the psychic, the supernatural, and the simply unexplainable. The unexplained.
Yeah,
Howard Hughes. Sunday night from 10. Earth time on Talk Radio. The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee.
On air and off the leash.
On Talk Radio.
How did they discover fire? Serious question. I tell you what, we were watching Bear Grylls, The Island of Bear Grylls. You know, Bear Grylls is on a different island to this. He's not even on an island. He's probably in Panama, or he may even have gone home.
He just drops them off, right?
Yeah.
And says, "I'll see you in a month."
Well, they get, because I was up for doing. I was the standby contestant for the celebrity one, right? Which meant I got paid $2,000 for not going. Beautiful, and we were going to get flown out to Panama, have 3 days survivalist training, then dumped on the island. But so there's a new series of the civilian ones starting tonight, and they've made it competitive. They've sort of dropped 2 teams on there without telling each team that there's another team, and it's a really, strange old-fashioned division. It's posh people versus common people. And they kind of meet up. It's a very weird vibe. Now, having been part of, one of these shows where 24 hours is edited down into 53 minutes, I am aware that narratives are maybe not necessarily creative, but they're certainly sharpened. And, any of the rough edges are knocked off to create a fine point, as opposed to a kind of an amorphous lump. Second time I've used the word amorphous in the show tonight.
It still works.
Yeah. Which most conversations and most day-to-day interactions, they're amorphous, and they're not smooth and they're not pointed. But on TV, we have to have pointed. We have to have good guys and we have to have bad guys, and there has to be, and that can change. The good and the bad can change, but we have to have those divisions. But it's still a cracking watch. You get taught how to make fire. And obviously, to make fire, you rub sticks together. It's not quite like that. You have one type of wood with a hole in it, and then you have another bit of wood that's got a point in it, and you've got some rope which is around that, and it helps you to move it. You don't even have to move it that fast. You have to do it for a long time. That's the thing. You've got to do it for a long, long time.
It's the friction you want.
Yeah.
Is there anything down the hole, though?
No.
Is there not like some bits of like grass or something?
Well, no, you've got to get embers going. That's what you get in there is embers. And then once you get the embers, then you tip it onto the dry grass, and then you've got to blow on it, and that makes smoke, and then that makes the fire. But how did they discover that the very first time? The very first time? Because you don't discover that by accident.
Well, I'm thinking it must have been an accident.
An accident?
Yeah. Because they couldn't have known that would work. They wouldn't have known about friction. They would have been doing something else and then realised that there was smoke coming, surely.
But
I mean, I can't imagine a scenario in which you would be making that motion without.
Well, flint is a great way for starting. Flint is a much better way of starting fire.
Now that might have been hitting something.
Yeah, flint is a much. If I were to start a fire, it would be with flint. I think is how I would do it, as opposed to the sticks method. Here we go. Graham's so nothing to do with what we're saying. Just we were going down a cul-de-sac. Ian and Kathy, absolutely loving the show tonight. Been listening on a snowy drive home from a gig in Glasgow. Snowy.
Crikey. You be careful.
The best show in ages. Thank you, Graham. Yeah, I should have said this early on. Sorry. I will only read out your texts and emails if it's got a proper name and a location. And we're an hour and a half into the show. We can start getting a little bit stricter now. So please, I will only read out your texts if it's got a name and a location, because I don't want any spammers. It's Easter holidays. Is it Easter holidays for your kids?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're very much off.
And my kids are away this weekend, and they just got back today, and I'm hopefully going to go over and see them for a couple of hours on Wednesday and take the PlayStation VR. I'm loving the PlayStation VR. I played a couple of great games. One called
VR virtual reality.
Virtual reality.
Non-gamers out there.
It's where they wear these headsets and you get sucked in. I've played Dick Wilde.
Big fun.
Where basically, have you seen this, Sam? Sam's a bit of a gamer. It's stupid and it's dumb and it's brilliant fun, man. Basically, you're like out on the bayou, and you can choose like a rocket launcher, a shotgun. You can choose different weapons, and you've got crocodiles coming towards you. You've got to shoot them.
There'd be alligators, right?
And then you got fish that squirt paintballs at you. And I was playing it for ages, and the paintball would splash you in the face, right? And then someone said, "You know, you can duck." So then when they squirt, you got to duck down, and it goes over your head. Oh, it's brilliant! It's brilliant fun, really good fun. The boys are going to love that.
How many things have you broken?
Well, I film it, right? So I stream the video online, and then I get that video footage, and while I'm playing, I have my camera on a tripod, a green screen behind me, phone on a tripod, and it films me. And then what I do is I get the green screen footage and I get the game footage and put it behind, so you can see all the movements, right? And the game is there. And I was playing a game called Super Hot. You seen that? Mate, it is the best game I've ever played.
Why do all these games sound pornographic?
It's incredible, right? So you're this dude, someone phoned up and told me about it. You're this dude, right? And you're hacking into something. The reason it's all like everything's white and the people are made of glass is because at one point in the game you crashes and you're at your computer and you've got to put a disc into the computer and a helmet on. Right?
Like
so you're a spy trying to infiltrate this building, right? And so you appear, you're holding these two sticks, right, which are your hands. Now, if you don't move, time is frozen, right? If you move your head slightly, while you're moving your head, time is moving. So, two dudes then start coming around the corner. One of them's got a gun. Oh shit! Right, okay. So then you look down. You don't move your head. You move your eyes. And you see there's a gun. There's a gun down there to the right. So you got to get that gun, and he's firing it at you now. So two bullets are out. Yeah, two bullets are out. And they're coming straight towards you. You can see them coming towards you. So you got to then duck out the way. Get your gun, shoot him, his gun flies up in the air, you've got to grab that, and then you shoot those dudes, boom, then you're on to the next level. And it goes on like that, and like that, like that. Oh, it is so good. It is so good. It's insanely good. And because you've got the headphones on, like the sticks rumble, but the head pack doesn't rumble, because you've got the headphones on, the sound of the bullet, you can hear it. And your brain plays tricks on you because you can see it and you can hear it in perfect, surround sound. And so when the bullet hits you in the shoulder, you recoil because of the sound. You don't feel it, but you recoil because the sound in your ear is you've been hit in the shoulder. It's incredible. Anyway, so I've been streaming that and filming myself, and to film it, because my green screen isn't very high, I've had to put the phone on the tripod and then balance it on a chair and shoot down. But I kept knocking it over because I'm like getting really into it. I'm swinging. You can punch. I'm swinging these punches at these dudes and stuff. So the video is just uploaded on YouTube, my YouTube channel, of me playing Super Hot. It's the one where there's a little me in the corner, and you'll see I knock the thing over. The phone, you can see my flat because the phone just goes flying. Oh, it is such a good game. Oh, it's such a good game. Bless you.
Thanks.
Girl sneezes, and I'm loving that. And I've got to say, I kind of joked about this before. It was a half joke and it was half serious, right? About me leaving the radio to become a professional gamer, okay? It's half joke, half serious. This weekend, right, I had a really, really interesting chat with a potential sponsor. And it was, I can't say anything, right? What's that book? I've been reading that book. What's it called? The Artist's Way? Is it The Artist's Way?
That sounds familiar. What have you been going on about?
It's a really good book, right? It's called The Artist's Way, the Artist's Handbook or something. And it basically...
The Artist's Way.
The Artist's Way. It's a great read, right? Dennis Le Corrier sent it to me. It's a great read. And it's about... And people who we're talking about Dan and Billy and the Skinny Jean Garden, and people that have been inspired by us to create stuff. This is great. It's really about accessing your creativity and finding your voice and your art and being true to your voice,
right? Being true to it. Now, it's not always possible because we've all got to turn the dollar, right? So there is compromise in life. And I'm really lucky at this moment in my life that I have to compromise a lot less than I have done and a lot less than a lot of other people do. At the moment, that might change. But I've been reading it and it's really been inspiring me to follow... I mean, it sounds cheesy, to follow that dream, right? And I've been thinking, what is the dream job? This is pretty good. This is pretty good.
I was going to say, until about 3 months ago,
Yeah.
this was the dream, wasn't it?
Until the callers ruined it.
There we go.
And who knows where we're going to go with this. But I was thinking, right, the dream job.
Super hot. Super hot. So I'm playing...
making a living out of playing video games. Okay, all right, hold that thought for a second. Does anyone make a living out of playing video games? Yeah, actually, some people do, right? Some people make a shed load of money. Some people make enough to live on. Some people don't. Okay, fine. Well, that's the same as pretty much any industry.
Didn't Paul Ross say he had a nephew who was a professional gamer?
So, right, okay. Do I like video games? Yes. Am I good at video games? Yes. What else have I got that might help me? Well, I've got a name. I've got a name. Partly because of the well, partly because of the jungle, partly because of whatever. I've got a name. So I've got a head start over other people. I'm a little bit older than a lot of a lot of people they're getting into it. But
right, marketing wise, you represent maybe untapped
Silver
resource.
Surfers.
You've got money.
Yeah.
Not like the kids. You guys have got money.
Exactly. So there is a very strong chance. Got to speak to this sponsor this week. Soon, very soon. There is a strong chance that I will be taking a 3 or 6 month break. Sabbatical hiatus from this show to pursue the professional gaming, right? So, but for this to work, I do need a little bit of help from the people listening at home. My gaming videos on YouTube, they get about 1,000 hits, 1,500 hits. That's great. It would be really helpful to me, and it would just give me a little bit more ammo when I go and see this sponsor this week. Where are we? Monday. This week. It'd give me a little bit more ammo if I could get those figures up. So if you go to youtube.com/rabbithole when YouTube is working again, click on subscribe and go and watch my videos. Go and watch me knocking over the phone in my flat on Super Hot. Go and watch me getting seasick playing Skyrim VR, which I didn't really enjoy. Go and watch these videos. I think they're insightful. I think they're human. I think they're funny. I think they're fun. I will say they're quite sweary. So I'm going to do some child-friendly ones. I'm wearing some cool T-shirts in them. I was wearing my Kids in the Hall T-shirt yesterday. I'm wearing my Nez Dispenser shirt in the ones today. Go and watch them. Go and have fun. Share them with movers, shakers, people who work for games companies, games magazines, anything like that. And, fingers crossed, this might actually be happening. I'm really enjoying myself tonight, dear listener. I hope you are as well. This is a brand new chapter in our lives. This is the late night alternative, sans téléphone, avec Monsieur Ian and Mademoiselle Catarina. I don't know why I was doing that in French. This is Talk Radio.
Across the UK, online and on DAB. Access all radios.
Talk Radio. Give it some lip. Countdown to Brexit on Talk Radio with The Times. Know your times. The clock is ticking as the UK prepares to officially leave the European Union. Listen to the No Nonsense Breakfast with Julia Hartley-Brewer tomorrow morning from 6:30, when she'll be joined by Times journalists to discuss the latest Brexit developments. Don't just be informed, be well informed with debate, analysis and opinion from right across the political spectrum. Countdown to Brexit with Julia Hartley-Brewer, weekday mornings from 6:30 on Talk Radio with The Times.
With breakdown cover from the AA, we'll do whatever it takes to make sure your big wheels keep on turning. Our mechanics usually fix your car within 30 minutes of arriving. Breakdown cover from the AA, because anything can happen.
This is where the story begins.
Augusta National, where the only thing predictable is the unpredictable.
where risk brings reward.
It's a good pace. It's excellent pace. It's good lane. And McElroy birdies the 72nd.
Where the fearless are favoured.
Tiger's got it. He's still got it.
Where heroes live. Sky Sports Golf. The only place to see all 4 days of the 2018 Masters live.
Cast your mind back and think. Were you ever contacted out of the blue for a pension review? Were you advised to move your work or personal pension into
you
a
can't wear it with
self-invested personal pension? You could be due thousands if you were missold. Money Redress are trusted claim specialists in pension and investment mis-selling. They'll manage the whole claim for you on a no payout, no fee basis, so you can't lose. Text WIN to 85077.
This is your captain speaking. I'd like to welcome you on board today's flight. As we're currently behind schedule, we're going to skip all the pre-flight checks and just proceed with takeoff. I've given the tyres a kick and I think we've got enough fuel to get there, and the oil warning light hasn't come on yet, so buckle up and...
So the camera went.
You wouldn't fly without the proper checks, so why drive without them? Highways England recommends you check your tyres, fuel and oil before every long journey. For more information on vehicle safety checks, search Think.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
The incredible new sound of Talk Radio.
The No Nonsense Breakfast with Julia Hartley-Brewer.
The biggest breaking news stories, headline-grabbing guests, and razor-sharp opinion.
Join me, Julia Hartley-Brewer, when I'll be turning up the heat every morning from 6:30 with an essential mix of straight-talking debate, heavyweight political guests, and fearless comedy.
Waking up the nation with a brand new breakfast conversation.
The No Nonsense Breakfast with Julia Hartley-Brewer.
Tomorrow morning from 6:30
on Talk Radio. Unmissable late-night radio with the original king of unconventional conversation.
Make contact with Iain Lee. The late-night
Thanks for
alternative
sticking up for me.
with Iain Lee.
On Talk Radio.
Thanks for sticking up for me on the thing.
Just do my job, sir.
Barbara says, "Hey, you two, I'm really enjoying the show. Poor Auntie Linda." Oh yes, because you're a stripper.
Auntie Linda. She was normally the one leading us astray, so...
Okay, here we can do this.
Can I tell you about when we stayed over at Auntie Linda's when she first got her own place?
No, go on.
She was my mum's youngest sister.
Yeah.
And so she didn't have any children at that point. She was the fun auntie, the irresponsible auntie.
Yeah.
So we went over there and stayed with her overnight one night. And before we went to put our pyjamas on, she gave us 50p each and sent us over to the shop across the road and told us to get a Twix each.
Oh.
And when we got back to the house, she said, right, put them under your pillows, breakfast in bed.
Flipping heck, really?
Yeah.
How old were you?
Like 7.
God.
And years later, when she had her own children, she had twins.
Yeah. That's incredible.
And they were sitting in their high chairs, and we said to them, "What did you have for your breakfast this morning? Was it a Twix?" The youngest one, the youngest twin. There is a youngest twin.
Yeah, of course there is.
Said, "No, Skips."
Oh God.
That's my Auntie Linda.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So if anyone was going to mistakenly show us strippers, it would be her.
TV shows that went from one channel to another, because Auf Wiedersehen Pet started on ITV.
Yeah.
And then went to the BBC.
Did it?
Yeah, about 10 years later. They brought it back as like a big budget thing in Spain.
Oh.
So Auf Wiedersehen Pet. Morecambe and Wise,
Morecambe
of course,
and
went to ITV. Kenny Everett show went from ITV to BBC, I think.
The Bake Off, more recently.
Yeah, that's true. Any others? 87222. Do send us a text. Ian, if you're into virtual reality shooting games, you might like Doom VR. I like Doom, but I don't know if I can be bothered to play it VR.
Flash forward 2 days, Ian playing Doom VR.
I spent so much. Well,
But surely when you're professional, you'll get these things sent to you.
well, this is. I want to get the gun.
There is a gun, is there?
Let's see how much.
Because
the
at the
gun
moment
is.
you've got like 2 big drumsticks.
I've got 2 big drumsticks. Hang on. What's this called? Amazon. This is. I should be getting this stuff for free. VR PS4 gun. All right, there we go.
Oh, outrageous.
Oh, it's 60 quid.
Whoa.
But it looks wicked.
But does it do anything, or is it just a plastic?
What do you mean, does it do anything?
Uh,
What do you mean, does it do anything?
yeah, like the guitar in Guitar Hero.
Well, you can't.
It's just a plastic.
You can't go out busking with it. No. Oh,
I
that
bet
does.
you could.
That does look wicked.
Oh, come on, Ian.
It's a gun, man. Come on, 60 quid. 60 quid. Guys,
No, don't.
No, I'm not going. No, okay, all right, I won't. But if anybody wants to send me a freebie, I would be well up for that. Are you allowed to do that on the radio now? I don't think you are these days. Oh, man alive. Okay, so here we go. Jenny says, please don't give out personal information like you're going to the loo in the well. You're feeding the fire. That's true, actually.
It's true, I told you.
You did. I was angry. The less knowledge they have, the better. I hope it goes okay tomorrow morning. Please ignore the sun. It's full of lies. Thank you. Birds of a Feather went from BBC to ITV. Yes, you're right. Richard and Judy went from, they went from ITV, well...
Did they go to Channel 4?
They went from Channel 4, they didn't, right, they went from Channel 4 to Watch, didn't they?
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they did.
What was Richard's Eye of the Storm on? That was 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that's him working on different... I'm talking about the actual show being lifted.
Oh, right.
And moving. He did, remember Richard Madeley's quiz show, Runway?
No, I don't.
It was Runway. I don't really remember it. But I remember there was like a sort of giant electronic board in the middle of the studio with, I guess that was the runway, and it sort of narrowed and you had to light up. Light up, because you had to light them up as you went on. There was also another, what was the game show? Busman's Holiday. Who presented it? Not Kieran Prenderville, but I just wanted to say Kieran Prenderville.
I don't even know who that is.
He used to present Tomorrow's World. One of the presenters on Tomorrow's World was Kieran Prenderville. So who used to... Men Behaving Badly started on ITV before moving to the BBC. Thank you, Nigel. Yeah. Who presented? Julian Pettifer. It was Julian Pettifer. Who's Julian Pettifer?
I don't know.
I've got to Google Julian Pettifer. Do I know Julian Pettifer? Julian Pettifer.
Who's the other one? Prenderville.
Yeah, well, don't not worry about Kieran Prenderville.
Yeah, but I'm wondering who he is.
Right, Julian Pettifer. Right, okay, he's 82 now. He hosted Busman's Holiday. Kieran Prenderville was slightly curly hair, side parting, and was on Tomorrow's World.
Right.
Okay. So I think we're getting somewhere. Hey, do you know what I found yesterday? Remember when we did? God, that was 2 years ago. An Evening with Eddie Large. Yes. It was 2 years ago.
Was it really?
It wasn't. It wasn't last year.
It was.
No. It must have been 2016.
No.
Wasn't last year.
I think it was. Wasn't it summer?
This Is Your Life went to ITV, from ITV to BBC. Thank you, Paul. Yes. No.
Come on, it must be.
No. Wasn't last year. Wasn't. Couldn't have been.
Yeah. Sunday, 25th of June, 2017.
Yeah, so 2 years ago.
Oh.
No, it wasn't. It was a year ago then. Sunday, 27th of September? June?
No, June.
2017. It's 2018 now.
It's 2018 now. You made me question that. That's because I'm sleep deprived.
Okay. So, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Because after that, it was such a lovely night. Such a lovely night. And every now and then I'll just send Eddie a little email and see how impacted he getting on, because they're such a lovely couple. And, but that night we met lots of nice people. We met a couple of weirdos as well. And, a guy came up to me and he said he'd worked at the BBC, like, video library, and he'd burnt off about 4 or 5 or 6 DVDs of, Julian Pettifer's just emailed. It was effing me, he says. Julian, I'm so sorry.
It sounds just like
82 years old as well. Sorry, Julian. And he'd burnt off a handful of discs of episodes of Tomorrow's World.
Because you were trying to get hold of
them.
them.
Yeah, from the 60s through to the early 90s. And I haven't watched them. Because I found them. It's this week's viewing.
Oh.
This week's viewing I'm going to watch. Because I keep saying they should bring out a box set of Tomorrow's World. I'll go and put it together. You know, I'll, what's the word? Not collegiate.
Collate.
Thank you. I'll collegiate the Tomorrow's World, and I'd go and do it. I'd be brilliant. I'd buy that. I'd probably be the only one that would buy it. That's the actual problem with it. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is, so it's Easter holiday. There's no kids' films on. There's no kids' films on.
You mean on telly?
At the pictures. I don't watch crap on the telly. At the pictures, right? Because I'm taking the kids to see a play on Saturday, and I thought I'd take them out on Sunday. See, I like taking them out to see live stuff, but if that isn't possible, there's a nice Everyman cinema near where my mum lives, and it's the Everyman is the ones where you go in and you get sofas and you can order pizzas and food and booze if you want, and they'll bring it to you during the film. And it's great, and the kids it's a little bit more expensive, but the kids love it, and I love it, and it's nice. So I thought I'd check Sunday. Well, they're showing one thing, and it's a ballet, right? Oh, you can take kids to the ballet, I know, but so I thought. And for most of the this week, they've got nothing on for kids, right? All right, fine. It's only a 2-screen cinema. Let's try the one we go to in Henley, which is a picture house, which has got 4 screens. This Saturday and Sunday, nothing for kids. What? All right, we'll try the grubby cinema in Slough, which is a real, last ditch thing. This Sunday, nothing.
How come?
Nothing. What the bloody hell is going on? What the hell is going on with these people? This is outrageous. Guys, I want to give you tens of pounds to sit in your cinemas watching cruddy films. Thank God they've already seen the Peter Rabbit movie, because I don't think I could sit through that. Oh, there's a story about Beatrix Potter in one of the papers. We'll remind me to do that when we come back after the news. I don't get Beatrix Potter. I think it's dull. I think it's boring. I certainly don't get any of the Peter Rabbits, none of the reboots, not this new one, not the awful cartoon that they had on CBeebies for a long time. Peter Rabbit. None of that, right? And I certainly don't get the original stuff. Oh, Mrs. Tiggy Winkle. Stupid.
I liked those books, and I thought the drawings were beautiful.
No, they're boring. They're the kind of books that people think... My eldest did tell me that he just finished book 12 of The Famous Five. I said, brilliant work. How many more have you got? He said, well, I think there are 25 in total.
Yeah, she was knocking them out like no tomorrow.
They're good, those books.
A lot of them are very similar.
Oh,
very
yeah. But he's enjoying it. Very methodical, my eldest. And he's enjoying working through them, and he'll enjoy it when it's done.
My favourite?
Yeah?
Mr. Pink Whistle.
Well, we'll find out about Mr. Pink Whistle in a bit. He's reading the versions with Dick and indeed with Fanny as well. This is the late night alternative. It's a bold new direction that we're heading in, where we don't need phone calls. We don't take phone calls. It's just good, old-fashioned, wholesome chat.
Talk Radio, digital debate for the UK.
Talk Radio.
We'll get you talking. Get behind the wheel and set off on a radical road trip as Talk Radio serves up Julia's continental breakfast with Eurotunnel the shuttle. Register now at talkradio.co.uk/competitions and you could win Eurotunnel Flexi Plus tickets and an incredible voucher worth £1,500 to rent a Novasol holiday home on the continent. Tuck into Julia's continental breakfast all this week on Talk Radio with Eurotunnel the shuttle. With a 35-minute crossing time, Eurotunnel is the fastest way to cross the channel by car.
Asteroid approaching.
Mayday. Open the airlock.
Okay, keep your hair on. Right, engaging airlock. Now, where is it? This one?
Airlock engaged.
Oh, yes, come on in.
Yes. What? The ship's gone.
Hey, oh, come on.
Oh, really? Your internet's gone again, is it? What's the point in playing this game if your broadband keeps going? Just get Vodafone.
Yeah, get Vodafone.
Excuse me?
Nothing.
Vodafone guarantee your home broadband speeds, or money off until it's fixed. The future's exciting. Ready? 18-month agreement subject to credit check and availability. Guaranteed minimum sync speed from your local exchange, and your router will claim money off your next bill. New and upgrading fibre customers only. For full details and terms, visit vodafone.co.uk/broadband.
This is the sound of breakfast in bed. It's nice to feel valued. We're with you. So join British Gas Rewards today for loads of ways to feel valued, like the chance to win Wilbur toys. When you're with British Gas, we're with you. Terms and conditions apply.
Helen's homecoming lamb.
It's a lot quieter around here since the boys went off to college. Sunday roast was always the highlight.
all the family around the table for my roast leg of lamb with salsa verde crust. I'm doing it again today. It's their favourite, and hang on a minute.
Hi, Mum. We brought a couple of pals back. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's good to have them back for a couple of weeks.
Make your own homecoming roast with our tender, tasty grass-fed lamb. Food Love Stories, brought to you by Tesco.
Guess what? I just got a pay rise.
I got a pay rise too. And so did I.
That's because on the 1st of April, the national minimum wage
And the national living wage both went up.
What's more, it's your legal right to receive it.
Find out if you're due a pay rise too. Check your pay at gov.uk/check your pay.
The national minimum wage.
And the national living wage. It's a step up in pay.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio, on the hour news headlines.
From the Sky News Centre at midnight, South African anti-apartheid campaigner Winnie Mandela has died at the age of 81. Her family say she died peacefully after a long illness. The ex-wife of Nelson Mandela had been in and out of hospital
Is
since
there
the start
noise
of
coming
the
from my
year.
computer?
South African President
I'm
Cyril
going nuts. I'm going
Ramaphosa
nuts.
is among those who've been paying tribute.
In the midst of repression, she was a voice of defiance
Yeah,
and
the
resistance.
voice went from BBC to ITV.
In the face of exploitation,
Isn't it?
she was a champion of justice and equality.
In other news, the left-wing group Momentum has come to Jeremy Corbyn's aid by admitting anti-Semitism is a major problem for Labour. It's also claiming complaints about it cannot be dismissed as right-wing smears. The Labour leader admits there's genuine concern within the party. Jeremy Corbyn has insisted anti-Semitism won't be tolerated.
We're dealing with that concern by investigating every case that's brought to our attention, and if the person has committed an anti-Semitic act in any way, then they're suspended and usually expelled from the party as a result of that.
Russia's foreign minister claims the UK could have been responsible for poisoning an ex-spy and his daughter in Salisbury to distract from Brexit. Sergei Lavrov's also accused Britain and the United States of playing children's games. We're being warned of treacherous driving conditions tonight, with several weather warnings in place across the UK. More than 50 flood warnings are also in force, meaning flooding is expected and people should be prepared. A 22-year-old man suspected of drink driving has been questioned after 2 people died in a motorway crash. 2 men in their 30s were killed after a car was driven the wrong way up the M62 overnight.
We're in The Guardian.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger has returned to social media after undergoing heart surgery last week. The 70-year-old actor and former California governor has tweeted to say, "I'm back."
About the Manchester
That's the
bomb,
latest.
the coverage
I'm Laura
of it.
Safe.
Really?
The late
I'll read it in a minute.
alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
I want to dedicate this one to a lady who doesn't get enough attention for what she does to this show, Catherine Boyle. This is for you, Catherine.
You shouldn't have.
Oh, no, shut up. Miss it. Made me miss it. My favourite Elvis Presley song. Hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Well, I just can't help believing when she smiles up soft and gentle with a trace of misty morning and the promise of tomorrow in her eyes. I just can't help believing when she's lying close beside me. I hadn't realised this was completely inappropriate.
That doesn't happen.
This is not dedicated to you at all. This is I hadn't realised the lyrics were of such a sexual nature, so I take that dedication back and I dedicate it to you. Like the rhythm of her sighs.
Beg pardon?
Yeah. This time the girl is gonna stay. This time the girl is gonna stay for more than just a day. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, I just can't help believing when she slips her hand in my hand, and it feels so small and helpless, and my fingers fall around it like a glove.
Oh, I just can't help believing when she's whispering her magic and her tears are shining honey sweet with love. This time the girl is gonna stay. This time the girl is gonna stay for more than just a day. Take it, fellas! If I didn't have this neck brace on, I'd be doing some wicked karate now.
Thank God you've got it on.
For more than just a day. One more time. One more time. Yeah, one more.
That's 3.
Dun dun dun. Hey? Isn't it? That's what you think. For more than just a day.
Oh my God. So you think you're out, they pull you back in. Wow.
Oh, I just can't help believing when she slips her hand in my hand, and it feels so small and helpless, and my fingers fall around it like a glove.
Isn't that how gloves work?
For the song it does. I just can't help believing when she smiles and whispers magic, and her tears are shining honey sweet with love. Yeah. This time the girl is gonna stay. This time the girl is gonna stay for more than just a day. Sing the song. That's right, one more time. Sing the song. Bum bum bum. That wasn't bad, was it?
Well, it was highly inappropriate.
Well, no, I didn't realise that it was sexual in its nature, but so that was inappropriate. But sorry, what's that?
No, please, no, come on.
You want some more?
Oh, come on, no.
Okay. I think I can dedicate this one to you.
Honestly, I don't mind you not doing a song for me.
Oh, I wish I was in the land of cotton. Old times they are not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. Oh, I wish I was in Dixie, away, away, in Dixieland. I'll take my stand to live and die in Dixie. For Dixieland's where I was born, early Lord, one frosty morn. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. Here we go.
Hear him turning in his grave.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Dedicating this to Paul Ross. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on.
Oh my god. It's a serious face that does it. Phase 2.
So hush, little baby, don't you cry.
Yep.
You know your daddy's bound to die on the toilet, but all my trials, Lord, will soon be over.
God, are we nearly done yet?
Got quite a long way to go, actually. I wish I hadn't started this song now.
So do I.
I'm in it now. Put the kettle drums on.
Glory, 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 hallelujah. His truth is marching on. His truth is marching on.
Oh, Jesus.
You've gone quite purple.
I think I've just shit my pants. Quick, let's go to the ads.
Talk Radio, 24-hour radio debate and entertainment.
What's a load of rubbish?
The ultimate mind over matter. But could it be better? Butch Harmon, what do you think?
Sky Bet are playing 10 places at this year's Masters before they tee off for new and existing customers.
Looking good. Fine tee shot. 10 places. Smashing offer. Sky Bet. That's better.
This is my job.
Eligibility restrictions and further T's and C's apply.
In the new Sun mobile app, you have all this. TV and showbiz exclusives and football and breaking news and money-saving tips and scores and travel and fashion and beauty trends and celebs and real-life stories and Dear Deirdre and sports and gossip and alerts that make sure you stay ahead of the game. And you can personalise your news feed so you only see the things you love. And it's free. Ideal.
This is the
Download
Guardian.
the new Sun mobile
Press
app.
standards, the
It's
vital
totally
bond
Sun
of
back.
trust
Even
that
if you
journalists
only
have to
employ
win back.
one person, you
Amid
have to
the shock
provide a
and grief of
workplace
the
pension.
Manchester Arena
It's the
attack,
law.
one
Get to
local
know
paper
your
got it right. This is
responsibilities with
why.
help from the pensions regulator. Visit workplacepensions.gov.
Sarah Lester was at home with a young family when the night news editor called to say a loud blast and heard it moving. Some were saying it was a blast, others it was part of that night's show. There was a lot of chatter on Twitter, said Lester, senior editor of the Manchester Evening News, who worked for most of the next 72 hours.
I'm doing it again today.
A few hours after the bomb went off at the end of the concert, and long before the emergency response service was up and running, social media users were being urged to look to Lester and her team for the truth. I recommend you follow MEN News Desk to get facts in capital letters from the people who are there, tweeted Talk Radio host Iain Lee. That's right there.
On Talk Radio.
Someone's just tweeted me a really interesting story, which I've not had the chance to read in its entirety, about the bomb, the Manchester bomb. Isn't it funny how we give them these names? You know, these terrorist attacks, the Manchester bomb. You know, the thing at the Ariana Grande concert. When was that? I can't see the date of when that happened. Anyway, and there's
22nd of May.
Okay. And thank you, gosh. And there's been a huge investigation into it that's looked at the emergency services response time, and you know the thing about the fire service couldn't get there for 2 hours because of the protocol. The people in charge were saying, we can't let you go there because we don't think it's safe and we don't quite know what it is. And the people below, the lower down the rank saying, we really, really want to go there. We're 2 miles away from it. And it's very, very likely, I think the report may even say so, that people died because of that 2 hour delay in getting there, right? So it looked into that. It looked into the police. It looked into Vodafone, which I believe they're supposed to provide when all services are down. Vodafone are supposed to provide a free emergency service for the police. I think that was down. Also looked at the journalists and how the story was covered, and there were some really sickening reports of journalists rocking up at family members' doors, pretending to be coppers. Some were saying they were journos, some were saying they were coppers, saying, have you heard your son has died? And we just wondered what basically telling them that family members were injured or dead before they had been told. And even if they had been told, what kind of scumbag knocks on some mum's door to find out how they're feeling after knowing their 15-year-old daughter isn't coming? Scumbags, right? So, someone sent me this article that's in The Guardian. I've literally skimmed it, but we get a mention. We get a mention in it. And it's not a massive mention. It's not in any way saying that we have done anything heroic or anything, above and beyond. But it's really nice to see that it's this show that gets mentioned. Me and Kath, basically. And it was Kath that went into news. Your news head kind of came. You have more experience of dealing with those kind of things than I do.
Yeah.
But our thing always is...
Unfortunately, yes, I do.
Well, yeah, you do. But our thing always is, we'll just have the facts, please. We don't want anyone guessing. Don't want anyone, I don't want any experts on telling us what might have happened. We don't want any of that. We just want facts, please, because otherwise it's the rest of it.
We don't do speculation, really.
No. And it kind of this article picks up... If you'll indulge me, dear listener, I'm just going to read you the first two paragraphs. Press Standards, the vital bond of trust that journalists have to win back by Jane Martinson. Amid the shock and grief of the Manchester Arena attack, one local paper got it right, and this is why. Sarah Lester was at home with her young family when the night news editor called to say that a loud noise had been heard at the Manchester Arena. Some were saying it was a blast. Some were saying it was part of that night's Ariana Grande show. There was a lot of chatter on Twitter, said Lester, senior editor of the Manchester Evening News, who worked for most of the next 72 hours. A few hours after the bomb went off at the end of the concert and long before the emergency response service was up and running, social media users were being urged to look to Lester and her team for the truth. And there's a quote from me. I recommend you follow MEN News Desk to get facts in capital letters from the people who were there, tweeted talkRADIO host Iain Lee. Others in New York and South Africa said the same. And so the story is basically, it's not pointing out people that are necessarily particularly bad, but it's saying that the people behind the Manchester Evening News and Sarah Lester did a brilliant job, and they were there, and they were tweeting facts and useful information.
But it's like with the Hope and Glory thing, right? Yeah. We cannot do the job that those local newspapers do.
Of course we can't.
And local newspapers get slated a lot, for putting in pictures of people pointing at dog poos or holes in the road and stuff. But on things like this, having a journalist on the ground who can be there and who knows the area, who knows the people, is absolutely essential. And so when these things happen, I always look to the local papers. Like as I said, we worked quite closely with the Liverpool Echo, didn't we, with the Hope and Glory thing?
We did.
Because we can do something they can't, and they can do lots of things that we can't. But together we're a pretty powerful combination. And the other thing that happens as well, and it's infuriating, and having worked in local news for a long time in the past, I know what happens. You report on something and it just gets nicked, and then it's not yours anymore. And also, things that are factually inaccurate get tagged onto it, and you feel like your hard work has been used as a springboard for something that you can't condone anymore. So that's why we always give them credit if we're going to use their stuff. Also, because the local papers are under the cosh at the moment. And they need our support. So hats off to the MEN. They do a belting job.
Here's another paragraph from this story from The Guardian about the report that was commissioned into, what happened after the bomb attack. The report's author expressed shock and dismay about the media's behaviour. But who wouldn't be? This is what some journos did, right? One woman had her mobile phone called as she lay in hospital, herself injured beside her seriously injured daughter. Some described being put under pressure to participate in TV programmes and of having to hide beneath coats to avoid being snapped coming out of hospital. It gets worse. Pictures were taken of grieving families through windows.
What?
While one reporter... It gets worse than that! It gets worse than what I've just said. Imagine. Pictures are taken of grieving families through windows. It gets worse. While one reporter tried to gain access to a house by sticking a foot in the door. It gets worse. Even worse... Oh, Jesus. And I hadn't seen the last thing. There's two things coming up, and I hadn't seen the last thing, and I've just seen the last thing. It's hit me. Imagine doing this. Even worse was the treatment of children. One child was stopped by journalists on the way to school.
Oh, no.
This. I don't know, I'm welling up at this next one. While another girl was given condolences on the doorstep before official notification of the death of her mother.
Oh!
Let that sink in. One girl, I've got goosebumps, was given condolences on the doorstep by a journo, by someone trying to make a few quid, before official notification of the death of her mother. How did we get here?
Two things. Obviously, that was out of order. But that person will be being lent on very, very heavily by someone who is not going out and doing the dirty work. That's the person you need to be targeting with this, not necessarily the foot soldier. Do you know what I mean? If you're the one being lent on, there are 10,000 behind you, you'll be told, that will do it if you won't do it.
Well, no, I don't quite buy that. I get what you mean about the person at the top, but no.
I'm not saying it's an excuse for doing it, but what I'm saying is that there is heavy pressure put on these
Yeah,
people.
I know,
And they're
I
often
know
the
there's heavy
youngest
pressure.
ones, because they're the ones that end up doing the donkey work.
Oh, I know there's heavy pressure, of course there is, but no, there's no... How can you knock on a door and a kid answers?
No, I know.
Sorry to about your mum dying. Wondered how you felt about it. She's what? Sorry, what? How?
But that says to me that's someone who's inexperienced. Or really callous.
No.
Or really callous.
No.
Come on, we've worked with idiots.
We've worked with idiots.
Who would have done stuff like that. By accident.
I don't know. I don't think you can do that by accident. I don't think you can tell a child their mum is dead by accident. You can't do that. That's not accident.
They weren't telling them. They were saying, "I'm really sorry about your mum." And we know people who would do that by accident.
I don't know if I do.
Oh, come on. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right at all. It's absolutely wrong. But, there are people calling themselves journalists and reporters these days who ain't.
These arseholes. And the thing is, people don't want these stories. People don't want this. People don't want this. People are better than this. People are much better than this. We don't want, journalists stopping kids on their way to school. Bloody hell. No, that's, no, that is, no, that's not good. 87222. Start your text with the word talk. 25 pence plus your standard network charge. You can email us by going to talkradio.co.uk. There was a story about Beatrix Potter. Where are the newspapers? Where are the papers?
Are these yours? Because these have got marked.
I don't know. Well, no.
You...
I didn't bring them in, Kathleen. That's kind of your job to bring the papers in. You have one job.
I've got more than one job. That's a problem.
She's got one job. And she balls that up. What can I tell you, guys? What can I tell you? Now would be an excellent time, by the way, to remind you that there is a daily podcast of this show, for the moment at least. Maybe if the suits get their way, there might not be a daily podcast. More on that anon. But there is a daily podcast. It goes up about 7, 8 o'clock every evening, so tonight's show will go up tomorrow night, etc., 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 and you can get it by going to iTunes, typing in Iain Lee Talk Radio, and it will pop up there. Or you can go to your usual podcast providers. If you can, like it, subscribe to it, share it, and it all kind of helps, it helps keep us doing what it is we are doing here, which is, a brand new show with no callers. Callers have been knocked on the head, and it will just be us chitty-chatting as we go along. Thank you very much, Captain.
That's right.
So the Mirror had a story, and lots of people are getting angry with me on Twitter saying, "Oh, my kids loved Peter Rabbit." Oh, I'm sure they will. It's a kids' film, and who am I to tell kids what they should and shouldn't like? If kids are loving this Peter Rabbit film, brilliant. But I've never liked Peter Rabbit, and I've just always found it as dull. The whole Beatrix Potter world I found dull. Right, could I get Mirror that's got the story in?
Oh, man. The thing is that your papers aren't there, so I don't know what's happened to them.
Oh, someone's Adam. Can you look at that part over there? I can't stretch, sorry. Let's play the trailer a little bit early, shall we?
He's the righteous reporter who's got his finger on the pulse of UK politics. They should be scrutinised more closely. The Week with John Nicholson on Talk Radio, Sunday afternoon from 4.
Join the stout speaker with a triple lock manifesto to bring you the week's big stories from Westminster, as I said to Tony.
Journeying across the week's political landscape, debating all the pressing issues.
I'll be presiding over fast-paced political debate.
From budget cuts to Brexit, or ballots to backbenchers.
All from this heavily reinforced radio dispatch box.
Read my lips. It's a 3-line whip to listen to The Week
with John Nicholson, toying the party line, Sunday afternoon from 4
on Talk Radio.
The radio show for people who know the best part of the day is the night.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee
on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
Ray, you're so close to getting blocked and muted. You're sending me stuff saying about Elvis treating women like shit. So what? What's I got to do with me? I judge the art, not the artist. It's always been my big thing, man. So just stop. He's making jokes. He's making jokes about Elvis being fat. I mean, come on, man. You're better than that. Or maybe you're not. I don't know. But you're yay close to getting blocked. People, huh? Mm-hmm. People. Oh, by the way, I've been engaging with idiots on Twitter recently, and loads of people said, don't engage with them. I had one guy tonight. God, he was telling me how Twitter affected me and how it upset me. And here's the thing: since coming back from Australia, I can't think of one negative tweet on Twitter that's affected me. I might be wrong, but I can't think of one. I honestly, when I was in Australia, not just the jungle, in Australia, I really reconsidered my relationship with social media. I was going to get rid of it at one point, then I came out and found out I doubled my followers. I thought I might as well keep it. But the tweets, the mean, negative, nasty tweets, don't affect me, don't upset me, don't have any impact on me anymore whatsoever. And when you see me engaging with someone who's been an idiot or said something I don't like or whatever, I'm doing it for sport. It's sport. And I'm loving it. And I'm usually at home laughing at it. It's empowerment, right? And I had one guy telling me, no, it really upsets you and it's damaging your health and you need to stop doing it. And I said, no, mate, honestly, since December, it's had no effect on me. I'm finding it funny. It's sport. Well, technically it's not sport, Ian, because for sports there has to be a victor. And I went, dude, you're being
mansplained.
Yeah, dude. No, and then I must admit, I then called him an idiot, which was too much. I crossed the line. But he was being very rude and very patronising. You misunderstood my first tweet. Well, the first tweet was patronising and was telling me how I should feel, and it was wrong. So no, anyway, he's blocked me. I've blocked him. Everyone's blocked each other. It's wonderful. So when you see me arguing with people on Twitter. Honestly, I'm not then at home, you know, I don't say this lightly, I'm not at home cutting myself or looking at a bottle of aspirin or any of that. Generally, I'm laughing. I'm laughing because it's funny, and I'm enjoying winding them up. So, thank you for all of the, you know, leave it, Iain, they're not worth it, all of that stuff. But honestly, I'm fine. I'm fine when it comes to Twitter. Oh, look, Paul Ross is on at 1 o'clock, and he's doing a story I saw in the paper, which I'm fascinated by. They're sending robot bees to Mars. I know. I've just seen him tweet. He's on at 1 o'clock. I listened to a lot of Paul last night because I couldn't sleep, and I really enjoyed it, actually. Really enjoyed it. Countdown to the late, early show, 1 a.m. We're off to Mars to learn about interplanetary robot bees. How nuts is that? They're going to send robot bees to Mars. I don't know why. Could they send animals to live on Mars?
No, I don't think the atmosphere is conducive to human
life.
You
build...
Is it?
No.
It's the closest thing, though, isn't it, that there is? I thought Mars was. I thought that was the whole fuss about Mars.
Well, you know my theory that we come from Mars.
Yeah.
But no, you couldn't live on Mars. Well, you could live on Mars, but you'd need oxygen. There's no oxygen there and stuff. But if they... You know, you get those tents now, where it's just like a ring, and then you throw it, and a tent pops up.
Yeah, and they're impossible to put back in the bag.
Well, no, you've got to sort of cross your arms like that. If you had something like that, but then had oxygen in it, right? So you land, you got it to Mars, and you just tossed it out of a spaceship, like robot, tossed it out of a spaceship, and then it just like set up like an oxygen laboratory, and then you could put like dogs in it. And watch
them die.
Well, why would they die? They die. We're all
dying. To look after them, don't they?
No. Hang on. What? Dogs need people to look after them?
Yeah.
Dogs are wild animals.
Yeah, but if you put them on a barren planet...
Who feeds the wolves?
The other animals, right? So you're putting a dog in a tent.
Right.
To die.
Yeah, it's a big tent.
Yeah, but it's still a lone dog.
No, it's not a lone dog. It's not a lone dog. You'll have 3 dogs.
You'll eat the other dogs then, and
then No. You'll put chickens in there.
Okay.
So plenty to eat. So
on day 1, yes. Then it'll turn on the other dogs.
Well, no. This is it. You train the dogs. You're not even thinking about this properly, right? And I am thinking about this properly. You can train dogs, yeah. You can train dogs, yeah.
But not.
Yeah, no. Can you train dogs? Yes or no? Can you train? It's a very simple question.
To do tricks.
No, not to do tricks. Oh, sorry. Taking a blind man to the library is a trick, is it?
Pretty neat trick.
It's a trick, is it? Taking a blind man to the post office so he can get his benefits out so that he can buy Braille.
Right, we've got a blind man in the tent as well now.
It's a trick, is it?
Is the blind man going in the tent?
You stop being...
Why are you bringing blind men into this?
You're like these arseholes on Twitter. So a hearing dog that can tell its owner there's someone at the door when the doorbell goes, that's a trick.
You're sending deaf people up there now.
So you're saying that people with disabilities, they're tricks. Being deaf is a trick. Being blind is a trick. Oh dear, I'm sorry guys, we seem to have a troll in the room with us.
Wow, this is live Twitter.
Exactly. And now you're blocked.
I already muted you.
So, I didn't see that, because I didn't go back to look at your Twitter feed to see it.
Of course you did, I know.
I didn't?
Yes, I know you did.
So...
You're taking this to heart, haven't you?
No, I haven't. No, so you train the dogs.
No.
You train the... Right. Chicken... Right. What is the more superior being? A chicken or a blind man?
Blind man.
Right.
Next.
Okay? Right. Dogs can look after blind men, yeah? You train it to look after the chicken.
Not any dog, though.
No, you get a flipping guide dog.
Right, okay.
You train it to look after the chicken.
You're making a chicken dog?
Yes.
Why is it looking after the chicken? I thought the chicken was to feed it.
Yeah. Oh, so, sorry. You're stranded on a desert, on a different planet with a chicken.
Yeah.
You kill it and cook it first day.
If I was a dog,
you'll be hungry on day 2.
I know.
I would have plenty of food to eat. Because what comes out of a chicken's arse? eggs. So I would have eggs.
Out of the vulva. That's not...
I don't know. I don't think vulvas have eggs, do they? Are they the creatures that live underground? No, the chicken... egg will come out of its anus... and the dog would be trained to eat arse egg. The dog would eat the chicken's arse egg. And then when the chickens stop laying, you'd have a cock up there, so you could fertilise. It's because all an egg is, guys, is a hen's period, and who wants to eat that? So you'd have a cock up there, and that would impregnate it, and it would have baby chicks.
Yeah.
And so you've got the dog. Basically, the dog has got enough food.
There'd be cockfighting in the tent.
There's only one
mayhem.
There's only one cock.
All right. Well, when it has chicks,
go on, mate. Yeah,
you're going to weed out the males. Otherwise, it's going to be cock heavy up there, and there's going to be fights.
No. Here's the thing, right? Here's where you're starting to get me really angry. You can inject creatures so they only have one sex babies.
You didn't mention any injections.
Oh, Jesus, have you never been to China?
No.
That's what they're doing over there.
Are they?
They inject it so they only have boys. Right?
No, they abandon girls, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. So they've invented a thing. It's not in the mainstream media. They've kept very quiet about it. So what I'm trying to say is, in a very roundabout way, because you're really starting to get right on my tits, is that the dog would totally be fine up there. The dog would live for years, right? All I want to know is, would it be worth doing? That's all I want to know, right?
That's a hard no from me.
Okay, fine. I'm just trying to find a song now. How long is that? I don't want one that's too long. That's 5 minutes. Hang on a minute. We've had a song request.
Have we?
Yeah.
We're taking those now.
Well, yeah, because it's from Luke Haynes, right? And he was supposed to be the house band for this show, and then
he's doing it remotely.
He bottled it.
Right.
But so I still want to. I want to eat his arse egg.
Whoa.
So this is for this is for all you guys out there tonight. Maybe you're feeling a bit lonely. Maybe you're a woman, a guy has let you down, left you. Maybe you're itching. Maybe you got the itch because
some yogurt on that.
You're hungry for some gear, and there's a bit of a drought at the moment. So this song is for all of you guys out there. Speakers up.
That tent is going to be a state.
So there you go, Sid Barrett, and I got some sad news, guys. Another '60s group is splitting up. You thought the girls were upset when the Beatles split up. Well, I hate to break it to you, the Searchers are splitting up.
Oh no!
Legendary Mersey beat band, the Searchers, is calling it a day after nearly 60 years. Three of those four members don't look old enough to have been in a band for 60 years. The group, famous for hits Sweets for My Sweet and Needles and Pinza, burst onto the scene in the 1960s. They're good songs, they are. Sweets for my sweet, sugar for my honey, needles and pinza. Mm-hmm. They enjoyed huge success on both sides of the Atlantic. And seriously, anyone that had a guitar and three mates in the early 1960s could have a top 20 record in the States. And have continued performing as one of the world's longest running bands. The group, which has a loyal fan base, will retire next March after a farewell tour beginning in January. The Searchers emerged from the Merseybeat scene, with the Beatles and many other rock groups. Thanks for that, Helen Perkins. What? That's not her name. Helene Perkins. Their cover of the Drifters' 1961 Sweets for My Sweet spent 2 weeks as a UK #1 in 1963. A year later, their version of Jackie DeShannon's and Needles and Pinza spent 3 weeks at #1, and a cover of the Orlons' Don't Throw Your Love Away stayed on the top spot for 2 weeks. Founder and singer John McNally... Oh, it's two originals. Founder and singer John McNally, now 76, is still with the lineup, along with bass guitarist Frank Allen. I'd say he's an original, he's a new boy, who joined the band in 1964. Drummer Chris Curtis and guitarist Mike Pender were replaced by Scott Ottaway and Spencer James. The news ends online speculation.
I mean...
That's why YouTube was down earlier on. It was crashed with all of the Searchers fans. Wendy Burton, who runs the band's website, said, "Sad as we all really are, we appreciate that after 56 years of continuous touring, albeit with a few personnel changes, they so deserve time to enjoy their personal lives at a slow pace." Do you remember when we were in, we did BBC Local Radio, and we moved from Luton to Dunstable, and we went to the really nice, Greasy Spoon Cafe, and there was an old couple sat on the next table, and we got chatting to them, and he was the original drummer for the Hollies. Yes. Wasn't that incredible? The original drummer for the Hollies. And he had MS. Is that why? I don't know if he told us, but a bit of online research revealed that he got booted out very early on because he wasn't very good at keeping time. Which, for a drummer,
kind of important.
It's kind of an important.
So they had him driving the van, didn't they, instead?
Yeah.
They obviously liked him, wanted to keep him around.
Yeah, whereas with Pete Best, of course, they just got rid of him.
Fired him off.
And do you know how they got rid of him? They got Brian Epstein to call him in. After a show, they'd finished the gig, right, one night, got back in the van, and they're all going off, and Brian says, Peter, could you meet me in my office tomorrow at 10 o'clock? Sure thing, boss. So he rocks up at 10 o'clock and goes, Peter, the boys and I think it's just not working out with you. We're going to ask you to leave. Just as they had just got, signed up by Parlophone. But
showbiz.
That's showbiz. That's showbiz. And would the Beatles have been the Beatles with Pete Best? Pete Best, of course, released a great album. I never heard it, but it's a brilliant title for a record. Best of the Beatles. I mean, it really is a great name for a record.
In answer to your question,
hello,
I suspect they might have got away with it for a few years because they didn't really play on their records for the first few, did they?
Sorry?
Did they really play on all their records?
Wow. # fake news. Yes, they did.
Oh. They wouldn't have had
Ringo didn't play on, I think... I don't know, Love Me Do or Please Please Me. There were two takes of it. He doesn't play on one. He plays on the other. They had a session drummer in who I think his name was Alan White, who George Martin brought in because George Martin hadn't been that impressed with Pete Best, and he thought they were bringing Pete Best back. And I think it was a guy called Alan White. Of course, the other Beatles drummer who replaced Ringo when the Beatles went to the Netherlands and Australia, but Ringo had to stay behind to have his tonsils taken out, was a guy called Jimmy Nicol. Man, there's a character. There's a character in music. Still alive, Jimmy Nicol. Never does any interviews. But was Georgie Fame's drummer, and got a call saying, "Do you want to be a Beatle from tomorrow?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay." And imagine that. I think he only played with them for about 2 or 3 weeks, right? And there's video footage of it. It's the weirdest thing. The Beatles, and it's not Ringo. And, screamed at by thousands and thousands of fans. And it changed his life. It totally did his head in. 2 weeks of that, Ringo came back, he flew back, and it changed his life. And he thought he was a big star as a result of that. And kind of went nuts. Never really got back on track and tried to make a name for himself, released his own records, never really absolutely fascinating man. He's still around, but he's an enigma. This is the late night alternative. Only a few more minutes, then Paul Ross comes in. This is Talk Radio.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Cast your mind back and think. Were you ever contacted out of the blue for a pension review? Were you advised to move your work or personal pension into a self-invested personal pension?
Yes, I was.
You could be due thousands if you were missold. Money Redress are trusted claims specialists in pension and investment mis-selling. They'll manage the whole claim for you on a no payout, no fee basis, so you can't lose. Text WIN to 85077.
Hello, I'm your smoke alarm. I'm just hanging out up here on the ceiling. Could you possibly get up here and test me by pressing my button? I meant kind of like now. You seem to spend a lot of time pressing buttons on your phone. But can your phone wake you and your family up in the night to save your lives? Because I can, if I'm working. So remembering to test me is crucial. How about we take it from the top? Hello, I'm your smoke alarm. Please test me now.
Smoke alarms. They need to work to keep you safe. Press to test. Monthly is best.
So, Tom, what is a flat white?
It's a harmony of milk and espresso enveloping into one another with the stretching of milk to forge a silky, smooth microfoam.
Microfoam?
It's a delicate
what
balance
text?
of
There's hardly any
rich and
text.
smooth, strong and light.
You're reading it from the wall,
No, she's
aren't
talking
you?
about... Why aren't you
Having
reading
a
that
clue.
text?
But the lady at McDonald's said it's like a stronger
What
latte
text?
with less
There's
milk.
not many texts.
Made with 100% Arabica beans, the flat white is now part of the McCafe range at McDonald's. Great tasting coffee. Simple.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
The incredible new sound of Talk Radio.
The No Nonsense Breakfast with Julia Hartley-Brewer.
The biggest breaking news stories, headline-grabbing guests, and razor-sharp opinion.
Join me, Julia Hartley-Brewer, when I'll be turning up the heat every morning from 6:30 with an essential mix of straight-talking debate, heavyweight political guests, and fearless comment.
Waking up the nation with a brand new breakfast conversation.
The No Nonsense Breakfast with Julia Hartley-Brewer.
This morning from 6:30
on Talk Radio.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee.
Unfiltered Night Talk with the original king of unconventional conversation on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Paul, you're trying to connect your iPhone to Catherine's computer.
You don't want to open this Pandora's box.
Via Wi-Fi. So, just be careful. Everyone needs to be careful. No one wants to look at another person's computer or phone data. No one comes out of that well. No, where's the here we go. Fascinated. Absolutely fascinated. 10 years on, a crime that shocked the world inside Fritzl's dungeon. Mirror visits the cellar where daughter was kept prisoner and repeatedly raped for 24 years. I didn't mean to say that last bit in such a sensationalist voice, but I did, and I apologise. Standing in the cellar of Joseph Fritzl's House of Horrors, memories of the monster who shocked the world still send a shiver down the spine. It was here, beneath 40 Jubstrasse, that Fritzl dragged his terrified daughter Elizabeth, then 18, into the dungeon lair that would be her prison for 24 years. It's grim reading, guys. He used her as his sex slave, beating and drugging her into submission so she did not try to escape. She gave birth to 7 of his children during 8,642 days in captivity. Kirsten, Stefan and Felix were 19, 18 and 5 when they were freed in April 2008. 19 and 18. I don't know why... I do know why that feels more shocking than the 5-year-old, because they'd spent 19 and 18 years living in a cellar. Their fellow incest siblings... I hate to say, it's a great name for a band. Lisa, Monica and Alexander, then 16, 14 and 12, had been granted freedom by Fritzl to live upstairs with his wife Rosemary. Alexander's twin brother Michael died at 2 days old. At Fritzl's trial, he admitted murdering Michael by neglect. He covered his... Honestly, I've just read a book about Fritzl. I find it fascinating. We as human beings have this morbid and dark fascination. Someone's just tweeted me a brilliant picture. Thank you, Dave Dogface Boy, of Jimmy Nicol waiting for his flight back from Australia after leaving. I've just retweeted it. Have a look at that. That is a picture. That is a man who's just stood inside a hurricane for 3 weeks and thinks, then spent the rest of his life trying to recreate that hurricane. That's an incredible picture. Incredible. He covered his tracks by telling police Elizabeth had run away to a sect on August the 29th, 1984. Here's the thing, right? This was his big story. He told everyone, she's run away to a sect or cult, right? And every so often, these 3 kids over the years will get really sick, and so they would get left on the doorstep by her from the cult, right? Now, little bit, not too much of investigation by the police would have shown them there aren't any cults in Austria. There aren't any.
Oh, really?
There aren't any. There's there are a couple of small ones, but that aren't particularly secretive, and the town, because he would send postcards from her that he got her to write, and he would go to this town and send them. So he would always say, she's in a cult in whatever this town was, and there's none in that town. So a little bit of cult in that town. Let me go and have a... Oh no, there aren't any. In fact, we don't really have cults in Austria.
But if no one raised the alarm, and I doubt he allowed them to, and it was pre-Google, right?
Yeah.
So even if his wife was suspicious, she couldn't check up.
Yeah. Police, neighbours and family and friends all accepted the story. Fate prevented Elizabeth ending her days in prison. Kirsten fell seriously ill on the April 19th, 2008. Elizabeth begged her father to take her to hospital. Doctors were so baffled by her condition, a vitamin D deficiency caused by a life without sunlight, they broadcast an appeal for her mother to come forward. Fritzl had granted Elizabeth a TV, and on seeing the appeal, she had begged him to allow her to go to the hospital. There, doctors and police wanted to know what really happened. 10 years on, we tracked down Fritzl's son-in-law, Horst Hilberger, the partner of Fritzl's second oldest child, Elizabeth's sister Rosemary, 57. He said the cellar children... What a horrible turn of phrase. The cellar children. Now, unless he's specifically, that's how he refers to his nieces and nephews, which I can I could get. But for the paper to call them the cellar children, use their names, you scumbags. He said the cellar children were doing well and came to live with the siblings they never saw early in their lives. None of the family has had contact with Joseph, now in a prison for the criminally insane. He could be released in 2023. Much of the huge cellar has been filled in with concrete, but the stairs and a single room remain. This is the new owner of the building. Herbert said, from the worst possible situation, we found the best solution. After 10 years, we don't speak about the Fritzl case anymore. It is not the Fritzl house anymore. We can move on. 10 years on, Fritzl, 82, still shows no remorse. He is a psychopath, and yet he seems so normal. In the office of Inspector Willie Reitner, the policeman who interviewed Elizabeth on the day of her release, there is a card showing a lake and mountain, symbols of the freedom she now enjoys. In a touching message, she wrote inside, "Thank you for helping us. You were there for us in a difficult situation. When we needed your support the most, you took care of us." I mean, flipping heck, man. That is, you'd be hard pushed to find a more messed up story than that, really. That is, that's pretty outrageous. One of the papers has listed all the April Fools that happened on it. Was it yesterday? Was yesterday April the 1st?
Yeah.
I find April Fools, I find pranks, I find all of that stuff. So to come in, Paul. You come in anytime you want. I find it also childish. Hey, robot bees on Mars.
I know, it's a great story, isn't it?
Mate, I saw that in the paper. That's what are they? What is it for?
Well, as you know, the atmosphere on Mars is about 100th of ours, so
right.
They need bee flight to have robotic drones going around. They're terrified. They're going to be bee-sized, much bigger wings. They're terrified of contaminating the ecosystem there and maybe killing whatever bacterial or microbial life is there.
Yeah.
So they're going to land a rover, and that'll release the bees like a hive on wheels.
See, it's going to be a dog. He's got a rover up
Absolutely.
there. There you go, yeah.
And it's going to go around, take photographs, transmit messages back, and maybe tell us whether in the future we can go there safely, terraforming, and create us a second Earth.
I love it. See, I genuinely think this is a little bit Eric von Daniken. I kind of think that we came from Mars. Like, I've just got a feeling, right? That
Nurse!
Listen. That one day we're going to go around, got live pictures coming in from the Mars rover now, and it just like it goes over a hill, and you see like a TV remote control.
You're from Slough, and they make Mars bars there. It's all coming together.
It's all linking. Hey, I was listening to you last night. It was good. I couldn't sleep.
You're not the kind of listener we wanted.
I do
How do you night? Or other super glues.
Oh no, I was enjoying it last night. There was some good bits and pieces. What else have you got on tonight?
On the show today,
yes.
We are talking about Doris Day and Eddie Murphy. It's their birthdays, which I'm looking forward to. I do love a
Doris Day's still alive, isn't she?
She is, and she's, I think she was born in 1924 or something. She's getting on for 100.
Yeah.
So she's a wonderful star, brilliant star as well. Although when Frank Sinatra worked with her in the film Young at Heart, he did two things. One, he said, don't trust your husband. He wouldn't have him on set, even though he's a producer.
Yeah.
The husband ripped her off for about 8 million, and this was back in the 50s.
Wow.
But he had a nickname for her, because she had a rather pert posterior called a Jut Butt.
Wow.
Which is probably these days getting kind of signed up with Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey, but I think it's quite endearing.
You'll
Jut
know
Butt.
this. The connection between Doris Day and Charles Manson.
Oh, her son was the person that Manson's family were meant to be going to try and murder, Terry.
Terry Melcher.
And she did a lovely, on her the last album I've got of her, she does a duet with him, and she sings to him My Buddy, which is a lovely song from the 1930s.
Wow.
If I can find it, I'll bring it in.
Oh,
it's a
yeah,
lovely,
yeah,
Her
beautiful.
voice is going a bit, but it's a lovely
I
album.
don't know a lot of her stuff, but I know that Bruce Johnston from the Beach Boys did an album with her.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that was the thing, because Terry Melcher and Dennis Wilson and that, they're like, we're going to make you Charles Manson, we're going to make you a star.
Because he co-wrote a Beach Boys B-side,
Beach Boys
didn't
song, yeah, and then he wanted to kill Dennis Wilson because he changed the lyrics and took his name off it. It's a great song, Cease to Exist.
Whoa.
But yeah,
the clues were there,
yeah,
Dennis.
and they all were, but yeah, Terry Melcher was supposed, because that was his house that the Tate and Polanski lived in, you know.
Yeah, that's an appalling story as well.
Man alive,
You've dragged us down tonight, haven't you?
Really?
To the Manson family and Sharon Tate.
Very, very dark.
And that's a shame because it's World Party Day today. We celebrate today. It's an official day.
On a Tuesday?
No, it's the date. Think it through, Kath. Today's date, which is, let me remind myself, it's the 3rd today. Tuesday the 3rd is World Party Day. He's double checking, but it's a fact. Given it's meant to be a right for all human beings to have a fiesta at least once a year. So we're having a party.
I hate parties. Can I sit this one out?
Do I always find you in the kitchen at parties? You and Jonah Louis?
Yeah, Jonah Louis. Whatever happened to him? He was get that and Stop the Cavalry.
Yeah.
I mean, classics. And then
the other one for that time was B.A. Thomas.
B.A. Robertson.
B.A. Robertson, who did Bang Bang, and also To Be or Not to Be, brackets My Lover, with all Shakespearean quotes.
Yeah, yeah.
You undo your doublet, baby, and I'll undo my hose.
Yeah, those are the lyrics. I've funnily enough, because I've got this tiny little record label, I've been having a little exchange with B.A. Robertson.
Oh, get him on. He's Scottish, isn't he?
He's Scottish.
Don't hold that against him.
He's a very nice. He's a very nice chap. And he's very definitely. No, he's a very nice. He's a very nice chap, and he's very definite in what he wants and how he wants to get it. And
okay, well, the sun will rise again for him, I'm sure, because they were two great hits.
Paul Ross will be on at 1:00. That's a few minutes' time. And people can phone you up as well if they want.
Give us a call. You haven't had many. It's been quiet tonight.
No, we don't take calls anymore on this show. We've decided.
Too stressful.
Calls. So
I wish you'd told me that. I'd have tried to phone in and do my little trailer hit.
No calls. But if you want to give Paul a call, you can start phoning now. What's the number?
0344 499 1000. It's only been a day and he's forgotten already his number.
You're professional.
That's all I've got going for me, though. Sadly.
Yeah.
Somebody said to me today. What was that? He said to me, Paul, you've never sparkled, but you'll always work. That was on Twitter. Do you know what?
What a burn.
Even
with his back to the clock, that man still finished dead on time. What a professional.
Talk Radio.
Join the Talk Nation.
Pick up your phone and talk radio.
We'll get you talking.